doing? Where's my game? Oh, loud. How y'all doing? I hope you're good. Hello, hello. We're back. We're back with Hermitage. Because we're back with something that is not Splatoon. Haha. No. Hello, everyone. There's technically not that much left in this game. Like, we're in the last chapter, kind of. On the other hand, though, I highly doubt that we're going to finish it today, because I just know that we're going to be reading it for about 3 hours, and then the game is still not going to be over the same way. That every time you think, oh, we're finally fighting the evil of the chapter in question, it takes like another 2 hours until we actually start the fight. You're not having such a great mood. You're playing some Splatoon while watching your stream. Aww. Yeah, I was playing a lot of Splatoon earlier today. I finished up the single player. Well, most of it. I finished the main stuff. I've now done every kettle at least once. Not necessarily with different weapons, but at least once. But the secret level you unlock after you've done that and beaten the end boss, I've given up on it, not gonna lie. It's so hard. It's so fucking hard to do. I frankly do not know how to play it, so I've given up. But yeah. Where did I save, by the way? I think time played 21. Really? Do I not have any other saves? Is this where we stopped last time? No, right? We stopped when it switched over to our nameless protagonist. Ah! No, that is where we stopped. Okay, never mind. That is where we stopped. My bow is still Splatoon themed. You're right. Everything... I didn't even notice. Everything else is gone, but the Splatoon bow was still there. That's well, there's one piece of gear that you get if you beat the thingy, and I'm like, because I really want it, but I guess it is what it is. A friend of mine was playing it for the last few hours, like hours on end, and I didn't even manage to get through the first of like 4 checkpoints for that level. So my whole life is Splatoon themed. Honestly, it is. You know what I am really hoping for? I'm really hoping, because I have the posters for Splatoon 2. There was on a Nintendo online store thingy. You could exchange some of your points for these Splatoon 2 posters. And I'm hoping they make some for Splatoon 3 again as well, and I can get them, because they were in very limited quantity, obviously, and I love them. They're on my wall right now because they're so good. I really hope they're gonna make some more, and also as another art book. You want to reset your password for Nintendo app? Get the app. I got a jacket earlier that has the invisible swimming ability, main ability, which is great. It's sure you are a little slower swimming with that one, but it's invisible, which I personally recommend. It's a really, really good main ability. I like it. But in our Splatoon, we are still back in time. Well, everyone except for the store manager is. The store manager is who he was when he was here the first time around. Everyone else, aside from Nico, is now back in time somehow when we met that one girl. We don't really know what's happening. Thank you so much for the sub. Prime Gaming. A power outage. Oh, wow. A sudden darkness engulfs everything. Before my pupils could adjust to it, the light comes on again and almost blinds me. There's a buzzing sound and it appears that the emergency generator has kicked in, re-energizing the entire building. Everything's fine. There's enough reserve power to last us the entire day without having to worry about the artifacts. You say that now, but I wouldn't be so sure. Why is literally right above this random staff member's head, there's some part of the ceiling missing. He's like, oh yeah, no worries, everything's good. Bean, hi. Good evening. Talking about security measures right now isn't very convincing. This should be considered an unprecedented condition. The man clears his throat a little awkwardly, trying to make light of the situation. Because of the amount of construction in the past and being so close to the mountains, our school's power grid has always had some issues. Like slow loading times or something. You had the correct password but a different user. Oh, I hate when that happens. We're not the only school with technical problems, but it's hard to tell what exactly is going on because there wasn't much there to begin with. The whole power grid across several regions is a mess. It's a huge headache when something goes wrong. No matter how well it seems to be working downstream of where the canal was built, the issues are more or less upstream. We just have to deal with it. Sounds difficult. The wiring is even worse due to the recent installations of large antennas for the local observatory they are planning to build. They're moving a lot of equipment around. Objectively speaking, the emergency response was very quick and proved that the history building is indeed able to withstand unexpected situations. If they also have a UPS power supply, it's unlikely that surveillance would be interrupted for even a second. I think my duty I did just felt like something that could help. You're all good. You're all good. I gotta admit though that I haven't watched it yet. I realized you sent me that last stream, but I was doing so much Splatoon. I clicked on your message and then immediately forgot about it again, so I'm sorry, I still have to check it out. In spite of such tight security, someone was able to steal an artifact. It really does sound like they'd have to be some legendary thief. I can't help but start to wonder if Dan actually hit the nail on the head here. A true relic has gone missing from its glass display case in the center of the room. It doesn't take long to come to that conclusion. The perpetrator's methods were pretty aggressive, so it would have been hard to miss. Yeah, this trick. I was about to say, unless it's like a very interesting shape of glass, they just, punched it open. The entire cabinet is missing at least a quarter of its glass, as if a piece of it was erased by computer graphics software. At least the principal was quick to act and bring in investigators. The inside of the glass case is a mess. The experts brought in by the school should have rearranged it, but the fleece used for padding isn't pressed down properly along the edges, and there are plenty of creases left from the hurried preparations. No other artifacts apart from the one in this case are missing or were destroyed. It doesn't look as I can't talk today. It doesn't look as if the culprit restrained himself. There's no further damage apart from that. Let's just say we got lucky. If that's the case, there should be some traces like fingerprints, right? Some checks were done overnight yesterday and there were no fingerprints. A couple of things were discovered, but strangely enough, they still haven't figured out who left them behind. Did you say a couple of things? Yeah, it's all a mystery except for some hair that doesn't look like it came from a human. That poses a bit of a problem. The samples have been sent away for further testing. The principal told me that you're an expert in these type of cases. Do you need to contact the investigation department to have them send the samples back? Even if they sent them back, they wouldn't make it in time. Just ask them to take pictures and send them to me. Don't tell him he's in fact an amazing person. I'm more curious about something else. Did the intruder mess up the air conditioning system? Yes, you see, there it is. Ah! He points at the ceiling above us where construction must have been done recently. They haven't had the time to paint it over or even to remove the ladder. We don't understand how he did it either. That thing is buried in the ceiling and looks just like a central air vent, so even if they wanted to get rid of the surveillance cameras, why would they go there? Maybe they weren't trying to get rid of the surveillance cameras? As a result of their actions, you've had to prioritize repairing the system in order to protect the remaining artifacts and put the investigation of the scene on hold. Do many people know about the condition of this equipment? I was wondering if I could narrow down the suspect list. You know, it's funny. I know it's just because they didn't give him a different sprite, but his thinking sprite always has him with a cigarette. You would not smoke a cigarette in a room like this, especially if the air conditioning system is broken. and it's needed to keep all of these artifacts fresh, but alright. We only have 2 engineers in charge of the maintenance of the equipment in this building. We even need them to supervise something as simple as cleaning the equipment. They have the master keys to the monitoring room and the switchboard, and there's no way anyone else could open the door to the basement. Well, one of them is currently out of town, and the other was in a meeting with some professors who visited that night, so he couldn't have been here. Okay, what if someone stole the master key? In other words, the 2 of them aren't possible suspects? And someone who's out of town doesn't necessarily have to be out of town. They could have just said they're out of town and then gone here, and everyone would be like, oh yeah, you weren't even here, blah blah blah. I'm not sure. At the end of the day, we're just co-workers, so we don't really know each other. Since we don't know what's going on in the culprit's head, let's see if we can find anything else at the scene. Hi, room! Good evening! Feel free to have a look around, but please don't open the glass cases if you can avoid it. It might be necessary to check those too. I straighten the plastic shoe covers over my feet and step onto the scene. What should I check first? We're going to check absolutely everything. I approach the damaged central display case and carefully scan the trail of destruction. The entire cabinet is about the size of a dining table and contains 4 displays. A glass cabinet about 1 centimeter thick covers each of the exhibits. There aren't any gaps that could be pried open. The normal method of retrieving something would be to unlock the cabinets from below and lower the entire bottom plate. The cabinet has an unusually solid structure sunk deeply into the surrounding carpet. It would be near to impossible... Is that correct English? It would be near to impossible to lift the entire glass cover from above, and the immense weight would prevent all sorts of accidents from affecting the exhibits inside. However, all this painstaking effort eventually went to waste. The culprit forced it open directly from the front, as if deliberately trying to humiliate whoever made such an effort. As I tap on the glass, the thick thud sounds a little aggravating. It took a lot of work to customize this tempered glass cover in the first place, but I never thought it would end up this way. Tempered glass? Did you say tempered glass? Yes, the price of a cover of this size and thickness is outrageous. I touch the neat, smooth cabinet cover once again. It stretches out like a work of art beneath my fingers. There isn't even a hint of stubble or debris at the edges. Even without mentioning the price, this isn't normal. Tempered glass cannot be cut again after it has been toughened, otherwise it would shatter. This is a safety measure to avoid dangerous splinters and is the source of the self-destruct problem that has always been a headache for users. If there were a way to delicately cut an entire ridge of the glass and still keep it intact as a whole, production companies around the world would be moved to tears. And where the heck did the part that was cut off go? Glass like this weighs around 2.5 kilograms per square meter, so the weight of such a piece would have been considerable to say the least. Stealing something and carrying around such a heavy piece of glass isn't something just anyone could pull off. The damaged cabinet doesn't give me any more information on that. I make a mental note of my conclusion. Okay. Marks on the floor. Looking around, I spot a number of small pieces of paper stuck to the cabinets and the floor. After taking a closer look, I discovered that each piece of paper has a different number on it. Around each piece of paper, several circles made of chalk or maybe marker can be seen. The circles are as big as my head. Are these handprints? Those are quite obviously feet, no? And footprints, if those really are footprints. We found quite a few of those marks, and it looks like they turned around between cabinets several times. Looks like the police investigation this morning was quite efficient and saved me a lot of work. However, only the footprints left on the floor were clear, and we weren't able to collect prints from the top of the glass because... no need to explain that part. Although there are vague white marks all around the place, unlike normal palm prints, these have quite a few scratches on them, making it almost impossible to identify the lines. It's possible that exorbitant body hair could have caused it, but at this level, only Chewbacca could have done the job. I crouched down near one of the footprints and roughly measured its length and width with both hands. That's not... The proportions are bizarre. The front and heel are unusually broad, and the spacing between the two is enormous. A human couldn't have a footprint like that, and neither could an ape. And if those are its toes, it isn't like a primate at all. The marks left on the cabinets differ from the shapes on the floor, which means the culprit must have been walking upright, a discovery that makes my previous conclusions even more confusing. Forced to apply the proportions of the human body to get an estimation, I arrived at the conclusion that a culprit with such huge feet would probably be over 2.5 meters tall. With this kind of physique, they wouldn't have been able to enter through the door, let alone sneak in here. I'd love to see the surveillance footage. This is the first time I've ever felt so frustrated by being betrayed by an electronic device. 2.5 meters, that is big. There's nothing... Didn't you find anything? Well, it's difficult to conclude anything right now. It is painfully obvious that this wasn't a common case of theft, and I'm beginning to understand why the principal is so nervous. Compared to what happened here, theft would have been civilized and orderly behavior. Even if the truth is revealed, I'm afraid it might be more unbelievable than the lies. Recovering lost property is enough of a headache, and nobody will be eager to have to explain this way to the outside world. Even if the truth is revealed, I'm afraid... Why is it the same text again? The most important item that was stolen is an ancient scroll, right? Yes, the Reed Companion, a very old artifact. We were planning to display it at tomorrow's event, but now we'll have to find another solution. The scroll and the Meridian Bronze Bell, which remains in our collection in the museum, are our most prized possessions. These items hold unique historical and academic value. We have this exact bronze bell in the future, though. Our funny guy who comes by with old books all the time gave us this bell. How did he get it then? Unique historical value. That's not a statement to be made lightly. I've never seen anything else like it before. The scroll holds very special records, and the pattern on the bronze bell is pretty unique. I'm not sure about the specifics either, but at least half of the artifacts around here in this museum to preserve them in the best way possible. Must be quite a lot of work. For some reason, the headmaster was particularly anxious about the security concerning the bronze clock, almost as if it might be stolen as well. Our preparations were delayed in order to increase security. Really? You haven't had it easy recently. Could you help me get some information on this artifact? The man nods. When the professor donated the artifact to us for safekeeping, he left various records regarding the discovery of the bronze clock. I heard it's famous, and I'm sure there'll be more archaeological discoveries like it in the future. The more the merrier. You'll be able to figure out who the culprit is, won't you? I'm not cut out for this, but I have a feeling you guys know what you're doing. We could ask for help, but it wouldn't necessarily be enough. Expectations are clearly very high. Who knows? We'll have to see what the others find out. Sorry? I didn't quite catch that. It's nothing. I was just talking to myself. I take a deep breath and try to regain my composure. Looks like I have some time then. I'd appreciate it if you could wait a little longer when I check the place. After all, in this business of ours, we have to think everything through thoroughly. It's easy to end up empty-handed, which might have repercussions later. What about the other two options I didn't get to check? What the fuck, bro? Hello? Shit. Why did it have to happen at this exact moment? There's a loud bang behind Zack as if someone struck a match near an underground gas pipe. Thankfully, the campus announcement that have been echoing in his ears come to an abrupt halt, which makes it clear what's going on. It looks like there's going to be some trouble. When he was still running around with some bad gangs, Zack fooled around with his buddies at school, causing one or the other blackout, and they always got off scot-free. However, the amount of damage caused by those blackouts hit everyone in an uproar. He didn't expect a school of this size to have a mass power outage like this. Hopefully the equipment they're using today isn't so easily damaged by power surges. Since the school is a matter of city pride, they should have a backup generator. But that doesn't concern him at the moment. Dan's task is to figure out the cause of the pile of dead cats and dogs by the warehouse, and that isn't an easy task. Maybe it's because Dan used to be a soldier, but his body has an unusually sharp instinct for injury and destruction. He looked at those bloodstains up close yesterday, and the conclusion he came to is making his heart beat like a drum. Several small animals were crushed and then dragged away in the direction of the mountain. The problem is that the surrounding area is too tidy. If a bear passed through here, it wouldn't be as untouched as it is now, but Zack can't imagine how anything smaller than a bear could have left behind those markings on the ground. There are no footprints on the slope, nor are there any tire marks. The wire fence is also intact, not cut or bent as far as the eye can see. If the murderer were a humanoid monster of the kind Zack has seen before, or the gargoyle that Justin mentioned, it should have left some footprints. The scaly silkworm Cecile encountered wouldn't have targeted these animals, so that's out of the question. Aside from the hairs he found in a few puddles of blood, Zack knows nothing at all about the perpetrator, but the matter can't just be put aside. He's seen more than once what disregarding these things can lead to. Should I expand my search range? Crouching down the slope of the mountain, Zack ponders what to do next. There doesn't seem to be anyone around today, and trying to check the whole area himself isn't an option. But he doesn't want to go home empty-handed. If he just keeps believing that everything will work out by itself, nobody else will step forward to save the day either. He doesn't believe in leaving things up to others. In that case... What are you doing here? Huh? A male voice suddenly issues from behind him and Zack's drums. He turns his head hurriedly, his gaze settling on a familiar face. Now it only seems familiar. Apart from the hairstyle and clothes, it's like looking in the mirror. If Zack were in his own body right now, of course. For real though! They look extremely similar. The eyes are different. If I didn't know any better, I would bet that they just drew Zack and just changed a few things without redrawing the whole body. What's going on? Are you a tourist? The student scans Dan's face, clearly confused. Even the boy's stunned expression is similar to Zack's, which makes Zack's heart tighten a little. As planned, he tries to play dumb, running a hat gingerly through his hair and attempting a silly smile. Oh, hello. Are people not allowed to come up here? He certainly doesn't know what a Spanish accent would sound like in Chinese, so he has to speak more slowly. Didn't you see the signs? Well, I guess the damage is done. The student might just be accusing Zack out of habit, since there are plenty of signs and warnings plastered around the school. However, as Zack looks around, he realizes the accusation is unfounded. The boy's probably talking about those don't step on the grass kind of signs, but Zack can't see any of those around here. And although the slope at the back of the mountain is covered in grass, there are more weeds than anything else. The boy, who is about the same height as Zack is now, obviously doesn't know what to do next. He smiles awkwardly, rubbing the back of his neck. Cold beads of sweat are beginning to seep from Zack's forehead. He isn't thinking straight. He should take a book out of Justin's book and analyze the person opposite him. Are you in the student council? Student council? No, who would want to be a part of that? Why stop me then? Why? If I see someone trashing the school lawn, of course I'll intervene, even if I'm not on the council. Zack doesn't say anything and just stares at his feet with his arms crossed. The tall grass and weeds are covering their shoes, waving in the light breeze. You can't exactly call this a lawn, can you? I guess you're right. He suddenly feels like laughing. The boy's voice is so matter-of-fact that it melts away all seriousness. Anyway, come down from there. I'm not going to lie to you. This area is pretty dangerous. Dangerous? Ooh, that sounds fun. Yeah, you might be tall, but that means you can't hide from danger if you have to. If you don't know what's going on, just stay away from here. Zack suddenly has an idea. He can recall the look on Dan's face when he confronted him in the park. He tries to make his expression darker, even though he feels a little stupid doing it. Since you mentioned it, you must have seen something, right? What? It's a mysterious animal, right? He's on the right track. Zack makes his eyes glow with fervor. I just checked the place and there's really nothing out of the ordinary. Everything's normal, but you told me to come down from there, so there's a problem here. Well, you know something I don't, and I want you to tell me. What else are you hiding? Come on, how much do I have to pay to get you to talk? The large man's acting is quite exaggerated, and Zack deliberately hunches over and leans forward. He's seen people do that a lot, and it seems to be a rather instinctive reaction to express sincerity. The student standing in front of him probably knows something the school doesn't. This doesn't come as a surprise. After all, when Zack mentioned the student council just now, he seemed to have a pretty strong opinion about it. Even if it's just a rumor, Zack needs to know everything. He sends up a silent prayer that he won't mess this up. What the hell is this? The other man's expression was getting more and more confused until he finally starts scratching the back of his neck for no apparent reason. Are you from the press or something? Anyway, I didn't mean it like that. You misunderstood. Huh? I don't know exactly why you're trying to pay me for information, but nothing strange has been seen around here. A janitor was recently hospitalized, and now the school is concerned that there might be wild dogs in the area, that's all. Wild dogs? Yeah, it's probably because someone has been hurt and a con man is trying to make a buck off of you by spreading false news, so don't be fooled. You thought share everything. Even if there's a mountain here, this is a school. Thousands of people are running around here, so it wouldn't be easy for any unidentified mysterious animals to be running around here. You're talking a little too fast. The student looks troubled as he frowns and chews his bottom lip. He seems to be looking for less difficult words to explain this to Zack. Anyway, here, there's nothing. What you are looking for is stuff, and probably it's dangerous. Oh, forget it. If you have any other friends who are interested in this place, please tell them not to come here anymore. I get it, thanks for the reminder. The boy takes a deep breath. It's fine, I'm leaving now and you should get back too. I can't say anything more than that. Even though he's already pretty far away, Zack can still hear the boy's confused muttering. Wild dogs, he says. Of course Zack won't take the boy's word for it, and after seeing those traces at the scene, something like a ferocious wild dog has been erased from the list of possible options. Thank you for the pat. The fact that he tried to conceal something proves the existence of an object that has to be concealed. Zack has been warned about some kind of danger nearby and found out that this student has a secret he doesn't want anyone to find out. A most valuable discovery. I should go back and ask the student president if she knows this guy well. What's her name again? Quinn? There's no point in continuing to stay here and look for a needle in a haystack now that he's found a clue that might be useful. Zack squares his shoulders and obediently follows the boy's advice, leaving a small slope. Ah! And we're back to Nico. Oh, well, not necessarily Nico, but Nico's body. Oops, this is trickier than I thought it would be. Things aren't going well, and if an employee of the school finds out about this, it'll be a disaster. Justin is becoming more frustrated by the minute. He usually only breaks through doors or picks locks if he's absolutely sure that there's no one around, and he's far less experienced than Nico. After all, private detectives do not wander the streets, working in back alleys and such, and shouldn't be forced to do anything that is beyond their capabilities. But he doesn't have the time to regret any of this right now. If he's found out, he won't be able to put up a fight in his body. If the operation goes south and the store manager finds out about the situation Nico is actually in, it will put everyone on the spot. What's going on here? What are you doing? The man who stumbled upon the detective is wearing an apron and overall with grass stains up to his knees. He's also carrying a large pair of pruning shears. He seems to be in his 50s and speaks as if this is his own backyard. He's probably been working here for a long time. The janitor might not be able to see what Justin is doing by the door, but the lockpick in his hand will still reveal everything. Justin raises all 5 fingers and tries to hide the tool by using one of the sleeve tricks he's so good at. The slim metal slips out from between his fingers. Perhaps he misjudged the length of his fingers or failed to adapt to the shape of his sleeve, but by the time he realizes his mistake, it's already too late. The silvery color is particularly striking on the ground, and the janitor spots it straight away. Huh? What's this? Yes, the jig is up. Although it is very warm outside, the sweat building up on the inside of his shirt doesn't have anything to do with the weather. It's best to run away if you can fight. The detective mentally prepares himself for a struggle. What's going on? Justin, the lawyer, and the student president appear next to him. The tall Spanish man is silently tagging along too. All of Justin's doubts about this man and his sense of relief at being saved overlap, and Justin's feelings are now more complicated than ever. Quinn, this kid was hanging around here. I don't know what exactly she's up to. The student president might come in useful, and Justin decides to use it as a shield to muddle his way through this conversation. However, before the detective can move, a pair of arms tighten around him. No! Don't make it a... Oh, God, no! Don't pretend to be mother and child. Oh, this is gonna be awful. You can't just run away like that, sweetie. Mommy was so worried about you, you know? Mommy? Her acting is overly flashy. Justin almost has a heart attack. Cecile is probably nervous too, since her arms are like metal clamps around Justin's torso. She must have underestimated the lethality of Scarlett's grip. Is that your child? Please ask her to... Wong, it's okay. These two were invited by the principal, and have been a great help to us. You can always keep kids under control, sorry. Yeah. Oh, your Chinese is really good. No need to exaggerate. I don't mean to give you a hard time, but there have been accidents around here and it's dangerous. Look, the place hasn't been fixed up yet. We just came here to pick up our kid. Our kid?! It's getting worse by the minute. So Queen, just go about your business somewhere else, okay? Unfortunately, I still have 2 tennis courts to clean up here, and I won't have a chance in hell to get anything done tomorrow when all of these people arrive. I understand, you're very busy. The gentleman nods and says nothing more as he pats the dust from his apron and turns towards the tennis courts. That was a close one. We can't leave you alone for even a second, can we? His father smirks as he pats Justin's head, which makes him especially grumpy. Cut the crap. I didn't think there was anyone with eagle eyes around here to spot me so quickly. This is high up than the tennis courts. It wasn't easy to spot you here. Wong is a kind person. After the accidents, he's been watching out more closely for everyone around here. You should have mentioned that earlier. But we didn't tell you about our arrangement. Wong wasn't supposed to be on duty today. I've seen him wandering around... Wandering? Around the playground all day. Has someone else gotten sick again? Dog bites followed by illness? Your janitor sure has a lot to deal with. Someone's been bitten by a dog? Who did you hear that from? Oh, it's nothing. Never mind. Basically, several of the janitors who were responsible for clearing out the pothole began to feel very sick. They caught a fever and they've taken some time off work to get better. Can't be easy for you when a school festival's coming up and bad things just keep happening. If a wild dog ends up hurting someone, things are going to get really busy around here. I should go and find out more. Are you sure that's it? Hey, if you found something, just say so. You don't need to hide anything. Chairman, do you know a male student who's tall, solidly built, with short hair, a fierce look in his eyes, wearing a good pair of sneakers? That description would fit about 400 people around here. Oh, right. He isn't on good terms with the student council? That should ring a bell, shouldn't it, Chairman? You can stop calling me Chairman. That would be Liam, an athlete extraordinaire. He's always been on the outs with us, but he's good-natured. Oh, how come? You don't seem to dislike the guy. It's a long story. Anyway, even if he knows I'm helping you, he wouldn't lie intentionally. You can be sure of that. Okay, that's pretty interesting. Sounds like you made a new friend? I just heard something interesting and sounds like... Ah, Manager, you're here too. I say, you all rushed over here to meet up as if you were one big happy family. We are, aren't we? Don't remind me. I've been looking all over for you. Looks like I'm the last one. Count your blessings. We were all quicker than I thought. Isn't that a good thing? It's both good and bad. I was just asking around trying to find some news, but I couldn't really find anything. Same here. Honestly, if you guys are taking a few more minutes to get over here, we wouldn't have to worry about any of this anymore. Wait, am I the only one who found any decent information? There's the proof. You couldn't even deny it. Just you wait. I know where you're going with this. I don't want to sound harsh, but the school festival starts tomorrow. Will you be able to make it in time with what you've discovered so far? That would be really hard to pull off. We need some time to analyze the information we found. We'd have a much better chance if we had another week. It's a shame we don't have that extra week. Don't worry, sweetheart, Mommy's here. I'm gonna fucking cry though. Why was that her first idea? I know this is difficult for everyone. After all, the principal didn't contact you until last week. I'm not sure how much more time I'll be able to spare. There's no need to look so sad, Quinn. It isn't time to give up yet. Manager, it isn't the best idea to give people unfounded hope. When have I ever made empty promises? If all goes well, not only will we be able to avoid any more situations like this, but we'll also be able to get back what was stolen by tomorrow. Really? You must have found out something good. I'll share more news with you when we get back. I still have to discuss something with one more person. You can go home and rest in the meantime. We have a mountain of work to do tomorrow. I see you've always been this cryptic. Huh? What did you say? Oh, it's nothing. Just talking to myself. Quinn's expression is unpredictable. Justin watches quietly. She focuses her gaze on the store manager. Can I trust you? The manager's face suddenly breaks into a mischievous smile as he twirls a cigarette between his fingers, distracting Quinn for a moment. I know I have no basis to make such a claim, but we're the best chance you've got. Why not lean back and trust us to do our work? Hi, Noah. Hi! Good evening! I'll try. How you doing? Not knowing what exactly the manager is up to, the detective tries to read the atmosphere. This is one of those moments where he has to cover for him. Okay, go, 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 I'm hungry. Chester waves a hand and heads off in the direction of the school gates. Hey, don't tell me you can't stop thinking about it either. You two, can you be serious just this once? A bit tired, long day. Aw, hope you get some rest then. The three begin to bicker as they head towards the gates, the student president following them silently. The detective never understood what on earth she meant by the last part of her sentence. I also don't know what she meant. How was your day? Was good. Played a bunch of Splatoon. I played a bunch of Splatoon. Then I ordered food, and then I was wondering why my food wasn't arriving, and the same second I checked, it said like, oh, in 8 minutes gonna get delivered. And the same second I checked again, I've been repeatedly checking it before, it just suddenly says cancelled. After 1 hour of waiting, with no calls, no notification, nothing, I just get a cancelled. I was very upset. Yeah, that was I mean, I'm getting the money back and also a voucher, but that was so weird. It's like, I don't mind waiting longer on a Sunday, but I was waiting for an hour and then suddenly it says cancel. That is fucked up. Why take the order? Yeah, I was using Lieferando. For you plays and gave up. I don't fucking... Nah. I have no clue. According to the Lieferando mail, they also tried calling the restaurant and it didn't pick up, but I don't know if that's not just the basic answer they always write in there. But yeah, I don't know. It was a little upsetting to wait for an hour and then it was suddenly cancelled. It's usually... This was the first time this ever happened to me. I usually don't ever have a problem. But not gonna lie, I'm not gonna order from this specific restaurant again, I think. The worst part is the restaurant itself was like 5 streets over. So if push came to shove, I could have just walked there myself. But no. You had a great day in Akihabara. I thought you were in Korea. I thought you were in Korea. How are you suddenly... He actually said that. The detective sits down on the sofa, resting his chin on one hand, deeply in thought. The room is quiet and the sense of disobedience animates Justin, but to be honest, he doesn't know what it's usually like around here. The store manager still hasn't returned. When he left in the afternoon, he seemed so confident that he couldn't even be bothered to come back for dinner. You're in Tokyo now? Wow, okay. Well, to be fair, if you're already over there anyway, I guess going from Korea to Japan is not that long. Or that far away. Lesbian, I thought you were Korean. Now what is Lebanese? Lesbian, I thought you were Korean. God knows what he is thinking. Maybe due to the difference in experience, the detective can never really keep up with older people's thought process. Cecile, are you sure the sign of destruction on these tables are similar to what you saw before? These are much larger than the hole in my hand was, but they do bear some resemblance. I wouldn't mistake those kinds of cuts and curves. You couldn't reproduce them by any common methods. But the student said he witnessed a giant humanoid, right? I heard you say before that the scaly silkworm didn't take human form? It's hard to tell what it looks like, exactly, although it sometimes has claws which change in number and shape all the time. So it may be possible to call it humanoid or something else entirely, right? That's right, after all, the world is so big, drilling holes may not be a unique trait of the scaly silkworms alone. Oh, that's irritating. Don't think about it too much, it will only demotivate you. I admit that there's a possibility that a scaly silkworm is at work, but we can't take anything lightly. I don't think it can be a scaly silkworm though, because if it was, then the store manager would have known more about the scaly silkworm back when it happened in chapter 1, seeing as this is in the past. I don't think it's surprising that it took so much effort to send us here, but it would sure be a lot of work if someone were just trying to pull a prank on us. Scaly silkworm or not, I don't want to meet anything that dangerous ever again. Tell you what, let's go talk to that kid, Jess. Excuse me. Tell you what, let's go to talk to that kid Jasmine. Do you think she'd tell us anything? Yeah, why don't you go get her? I should have known you'd say that. Justin suddenly realizes how silly his question was. Of course he could go get Jasmine, but the little girl obviously knows nothing about the shenanigans yesterday. On the way back and forth from the school, Justin put Jasmine to the test and came to only one conclusion. Under normal circumstances, she's just an ordinary young child with nothing unordinary about her except her outstanding singing voice. Oh, she's a singer! In other words, even if they wanted to find the guy who spoke to them through the little girl's mouth, it would be a one-way street. Unless the other party takes the initiative to contact them, they can't do anything. Knowing that, all he can do is count on his brain, Justin starts pacing up and down by the sofa. We won't be able to do it on our own. The store manager is smart and it will make a huge difference if he can't use those books in his collection. I was able to survive the attack of the scaly silkworm thanks to Chronicles of the Crane Temple and ancient prescriptions. We prepared the room and the seals in advance because we had that kind of knowledge before. In my case, it was sheer vigilance. If I hadn't been prepared, I wouldn't have thought of stemming the monster. Knowledge is power, even more so when it comes to finding the unknown. What to do and what not to do, every bit of information is precious. I owe my life to you guys. Wait, those folk aren't all store managers, are they? If you think about it, a poor 30-something-year-old can't gather that much information on his own, no matter how smart he is. He's 31! Put some respect on his name. His name that we don't know because he's just called a store manager. The conversation has suddenly taken a very realistic turn. So what will happen tomorrow? It's understandable that we weren't able to follow each other today, but we'll all be there tomorrow. I'm sure a little advance notice helps, right? The guy's possessed. He won't tell us anything and just runs off on his own. God knows, I feel like he's barely even talking. The only thing that we can be sure of is that there's something unusual going on here. Nico looked as if she saw a ghost when she saw Jasmine in the factory. Nico looked as if she saw a ghost when she saw Jasmine in the factory. There's definitely a story behind this kid. I'm still worried that we'll be... Cecile's expression goes stiff as if she were remembering something. This doesn't take the detective by surprise. After all, of the three new recruits, she has dealt with the most difficult supernatural situations. If it's just a scary-looking monster, humans are capable of adapting to the situation, but when it comes to unnamed, vicious time snatchers, it's not that simple. Anyway, there's no way we can prepare the location like we did before. We should put that aside for now. Well, we can't solve this with common sense. Let's get to the next point. I'd like to discuss what we'll do tomorrow before the store manager arrives. Just to get us everyone around in a circle. We'll hash out the details later. Alright. Time to move on to Wednesday. Ready or not, the school festival eventually went ahead as planned. Dan has his hand on the steering wheel, as absent-minded as always. He's concentrating on his breathing, having learned long ago that one's breathing is directly linked to the mind. This behavior is rubbing off on everyone else without him even realizing it. Nico looks as if she has a lot on her mind. I know separating her from her tech gadgets makes her fidgety, but I still decided to take her along for the ride. Today's mission is quite risky, desperate even. Nobody at the school can know about it. That's why I took Nico with me. She'd be able to put her expertise to use and control the flow of information. Things that are overwhelming to me are child's play in her eyes. But it's not her! Apart from that, Jasmine needs someone close to her own age to keep her company. Scarlett and I don't have the time to spare, and Dan admitted himself that he would be the wrong man for the job. Scarlett remains fairly silent along the way. Considering the task distribution last night, she won't have it easy. If she doesn't reserve her acting skills now, there might be consequences at a critical moment. The only person actively moving around during the trip is Jasmine. She's constantly turning left and right, staring out of the window with the innocent, curious look of a fascinated child during a road trip. Her joyous humming is somewhat drowned out by the oppressive atmosphere in the car. Someone once told me that time isn't always appreciated in the same way. A gambler's most enjoyable moment are the 3 seconds before the cards are lifted. Only a few thousand milliseconds are etched into the nerves. Until then, sweat and fear are just bitter spices that make the meal more delicious in the end. Whoever told me that back in the day was right, as I can't think of any better way to describe my current feelings. Just let me have one more smoke, okay? There are 2 kids in the car, can't you behave yourself? Jeez, you're already so stressed out even though things haven't even started yet. I don't care, it's fine by me, just open the window. I shouldn't, we have to consider Jasmine too. Alright, the air conditioning is on. As soon as you open the window, it's all over. Dan's reaction is slow, misses the point, and most of all isn't funny. Everyone in the car ignores his comments. So, do you really want to take the gamble today? Whether it works or not, I don't think the principal will be pleased. As the saying goes, it's better to ask for forgiveness than for permission. I tried to keep my expression calm. Although we exchanged information and distributed tasks last night, I withheld a couple of things. Yesterday evening, another person a client sent to help didn't turn up. I waited at the meeting place for a long time, but eventually gave up. I haven't actually met this person, but I heard that he is a highly experienced foreign scholar. In our line of work, the more you know, the less danger you're in. I've worked multiple cases and experienced quite a few things, but I would have never claimed my knowledge to be sufficient enough to handle this on my own. Having another expert at my side would have helped a great deal, especially since it's clear that we're dealing with supernatural entities here. His sudden disappearance makes me wonder if he'll be able to pull off this mission successfully without his help. Did he stumble upon something that put him in danger? None of these thoughts are pleasant, so I try not to dwell on it too much. I have to adapt to the situation. I think everything through again, then address the others to reconfirm our course of action. You're right, today will be a gamble. Don't forget that gambling requires great skill and preparation. I know that the stakes are high and we're taking risks, but I don't think I plan on simply sending you off to die. That reeks of confidence not. Count me out. Same here. Oh, come on, I'm doing my best, so don't tease me like that. Anyway, remember yesterday's task distribution? Preparing a trap to catch a criminal, which, by the way, is a crime in itself. It is indeed a crime. Furthermore, if we mess this up, it could backfire and we could end up involuntarily helping the criminal. Judging by the damage to the exhibition hall, it appears that the perpetrators deliberately sabotaged important equipment and removed the artifact with almost surgical precision. Regardless of the goal, they seem to have considerable planning skills. Scarlett's assessment is that while the perpetrators were able to escape by unimaginable means, their perceptual abilities seemed to be similar to humans since they were surprised when the door opened. If we find a way to create an utterly unexpected situation, we may be able to settle this whole thing before they can escape. To do so, we need a sufficiently attractive trap. It's not like we're bending the law for the first time. Anyway, Dan and I will stay in the exhibition hall, and you, Nico, will be the one to cut the power. Even with people around, I should be able to sneak in and disable the power, but yesterday you mentioned that the backup generator will kick in pretty quickly, right? That's why you need to turn that off as well. In a way, that means it cannot be fixed again. If anyone can figure that out, it's you. Well, it won't be easy. I'll be in charge of luring the guards out of here, which should be fine if Dan can take care of them outside. I'll try to knock out the strongest one first, can't have them making any noise that could attract attention. Come back as soon as you're done. That sounds like a crime. After an urgent negotiation with the principal under false pretenses, he agreed to leave some riot gear for us, which will be left in a guard's office for us to pick up. Due to the fact that the school has employed security personnel for this occasion, they have rather professional equipment on offer. Tasers, batons, riot shields, and even a Remington shotgun with paint bullets. Honestly, I would have preferred to have a proper weapon with live ammunition for Dan, but I couldn't have explained the entire plan to the school. Using the paint to trace and locate the hidden exhibits is the most important part of the operation, and the whole process doesn't seem that dangerous. As things stand, I can only hope that the culprit is indeed as jumpy as the students say. The large footprints, the trail of instructions make me dread going toe-to-toe. Nobody has the time to worry about the pothole in the tennis court. Even if it definitely isn't a simple crater, there aren't enough clues to prove anything right now. And we need this operation to be a success to get permission from the school to check it out in further detail. Aren't you coming to see me perform? Jasmine probably doesn't understand what we're talking about. She looks up, frustrated. When the operation begins, the little girl will be performing in the auditorium on the other side of the school, which will be the safest place to be at the time. Don't worry, Jasmine, the grown-ups are busy, but Nika will come play with you. Will come play with you once she's finished with her chores. Oh my god, no, I do not want to close that. Please. I pat Jasmine's hat, which seems to make her feel better. It'll be enough to give Nico an alibi. Taking advantage of a child like this makes me feel guilty, but at the end of the day, Nico is also a child who needs to be protected. Anyway, if the operation goes well, we'll have to pretend the accident came as a complete surprise. All that's left is to pray that Dan succeeds, and then the paint will work as intended. It's amazing how you're relying on modern technology, Manager. You've really changed. I'm just making the best of the situation. We didn't have enough time to find any spells or ritualistic signs, making our only alternative an old-fashioned hunt. The question is, who's hunting who? I'm surprised you were able to talk to Quinn so confidently yesterday. I think there's more to it than her just being there to help. Confidence is key, or else we'd be doing this empty-handed right now. One shouldn't have the heart to harm others, but must be vigilant so as not to be harmed. That's how that one goes, right? You might have misunderstood something there. Forget it, we'll talk about it later. Before we know it, the school gates appear in front of us. Time to do this. Be prepared. If things go according to plan, we probably won't get any sleep tonight. Oh god. I'm sleepy though. Is he gone? Justin is sitting on a concrete curve of the road, turning his head to look at the middle-aged man some distance away from him. The black metal from the object on his back is digging into his shoulders. He has no intention of using the weapon. It isn't his assignment for the day, especially since a private detective's experience with firearms is limited to 9mm pistols, if that. However, the man who should actually be using it is even less experienced than he is at this point. Dan may be a genuine veteran, but Axe Brave saga doesn't include anything that advanced. He might be brave and fierce, but a delinquent is still just a delinquent. Wielding the weapon itself seems more powerful than actually attacking someone with the gunpowder and projectiles inside of it. The store manager has been surprisingly adept at gambling, which has become even more obvious during these last 2 days. Somehow, he's always been able to calmly ignore any information he couldn't quite make sense of and find a way to have the upper hand, no matter the risk. Several people have been exposed to danger and safeguard the store manager's calm reaction. This time, he's taking yet another risk, but the chips aren't as reliable as they were a year ago. Looking at it right now, matters are more complicated. We have a pretty good head start. It's probably only a matter of time before Einstein comes out of his coffin and hits us. You know, Einstein was cremated? What? The detective feels as if his exhaustion has suddenly doubled on a mental level. You two had better calm down a bit. Jasmine will have to go to rehearsal later, and even if that weird look of hers comes back, we just have to follow the boss's busy schedule. As if this whole thing weren't difficult enough. How do you aim this thing again? Just point and pull the trigger? Isn't that how they do it in the movies? The one-shot ammunition may not be quite the same, and if it doesn't work, there's no way we'll be able to pull this off. It wasn't planned that way, but it is how it is. God only knows how the hell we ended up here. Is that why you prepared all the stuff yesterday? I say it's time to share the plan with us. You can't keep doing this by yourself. True, but I want to tell you something else first. Does it have anything to do with last time? Cecile, you really are sensitive to the whole time aspect. I don't know if you ever feel like that, but when I was trying to unlock the door yesterday, there was a moment where I thought my fingers didn't even look like my own. Nonsense, they weren't used to begin with, were they? Of course, that's not what I meant. I meant that it feels as if they're too skilled somehow and have a tendency to start moving around when I'm explaining something. Sounds a bit scary, doesn't it? And it wasn't the first time either. Not too long ago, when we first became cats, we couldn't help but adopt some cat habits. Now, having turned into Nico, I even have to control what I say. Remember the blackout yesterday? I was far away from the building you were in at the time, but I was completely stalled by it. It was like a really weird experience. Experience? You mean a feeling in your gut? No, it had to do with a power outage. The electrical work at this school is definitely faulty in places, and the wiring is pretty poor. If there's a power failure anywhere, the entire school loses power. It's a design problem, and the only solution would be to rebuild it. At least that's Nico's conclusion. I'm a little confused as to how much more strange knowledge she actually has, but I'm more curious as to why exactly she's studying the school's electrical system. Did the boss and the others have to repair that kind of thing in the past? We can do this, can't we? I may be able to. I think Nico would have done it. Wait, what are you talking about? This place is open to the public, isn't it? That's right, the problem just keeps on coming. So are you really going to try? At least to see what will happen. Although we've been investigating for a day, we're still in two minds and have no idea what will happen after that. It's not going to end well. In other words, do I really have to prepare for every scenario? Since we got to meet everyone a year later, at least that means the plan worked, right? I don't think this is normal. I thought Nico said the store manager couldn't leave the house. Could that be because of the current case? In that case, shouldn't this version of yourself actually be more helpful? Seems reasonable. But I'm worried about the fact that after cutting off the power in the entire school, the auditorium won't have any power either. Jasmine will be rehearsing for the show at the time. I hope it doesn't scare her. It's bad enough that she's involved in this for no reason. Jasmine. Speaking of which, this version of myself seems to... What is it? It's nothing. The feeling the detective was talking about, I've experienced it too, only that... The huge man hesitates, but in the end he doesn't finish his sentence. Don't hide it, this is already troublesome enough. I don't want to distract you guys right now. Don't worry, I will tell you when the moment is right. So, are we going to follow his plan? I'm pretty overwhelmed at this point. It's better not to be overconfident about our experience in dealing with these issues. I just don't think it's possible to pull this off. And although it's just a hunch, I do have a bad feeling about this. The detective looks away, trying to make some of the images rippling through his mind subside. He tries not to look at the mountain of a man in front of him. There's an air of utter helplessness about him. It seems like things are worse than we thought. It's a pain in the ass having to walk around as Nico. The loose soles on his shoes flop around with every step, making a sound that annoys Justin to no end. Due to yesterday's failure to recover the lost item, the school had to announce that the treasure for unspecified reasons could not be exhibited, and the opening hours of the museum had to be delayed quite a bit. Still, a lot of people have come and are already waiting outside. It's probably a matter of pride. Most of the people have nothing to do with the actual exhibits. It's more about displaying social status. Humans are social creatures, and dealing with groups is always different from dealing with individuals. Usually, Justin would wait for the situation to become less heated, but he can't afford that luxury right now. Back of that mountain. Looking out from the second floor window of the history building, it becomes clear that the back of the mountain isn't a fruitful area. The top has been flattened, and the faint outline of a building can be seen rising out of the tree canopy. What's over there exactly? It's impossible to tell from a distance. A strange feeling has been lingering in the detective's mind since yesterday. It's as if his brain is telling him to stop for some inexplicable reason, but he can't let that get to him. 2 days of non-stop investigating without any clear results is enough to cause anyone some doubt, even someone with a lot of experience. Whatever reason Jasmine had to send them back in time, Justin doesn't want it to happen again. No matter what happens in this point in time, he can at least try to ensure Jasmine's safety. He doesn't want to see that strange demonic voice take over the little girl's body again. Justin doesn't know Jasmine, but that doesn't prevent him from doing everything he can to ensure a little girl's happiness. This time they might be able to stop the tragedy before it can even begin. The detective has a sudden surge of motivation. I have a déjà vu of this scene. That doesn't add up. We've not seen this before. Oh, I hate déjà vus. Justin's idea is a lot simpler than the store manager's. The manager's plan was not well thought out, so he just made it a little more secure. Already knowing what will happen gives them a unique advantage. Justin is willing to go to extreme lengths to pull this off. They mustn't miss this opportunity, even if it means putting people he knows in danger. Everyone has been assigned a task. Zach and Cecile will look for those 2 students and try to get them to join them. Justin needs to cut the school's power before the store manager can pick up Jasmine from the show. Justin doesn't quite have Nico's knack for technology, but after the theft of that artifact, it can't hurt to cut the power a little early. With Nico's skills ingrained in his head, all that's left to do is follow the instructions. Justin approaches the hole in the ceiling, which still hasn't been repaired, and begins his preparations. The original plan was for the actual Nico to do it, but at least her experience will enable Justin to do a better job. Here and here, okay. Nico spent a whole day working on Jasmine's father's cell phone at home, injecting homemade programs into his file management system. As long as the alarm is set, the phone will periodically start a script and broadcast a signal to any nearby device. The idea is not to take control of it all, as is often the case with other hacks. Instead, the system receiving the broadcast command will trigger a system vulnerability during the decoding process, which will cause downtime and delete everything by itself. The air conditioning device overhead has an advanced and sophisticated management software. This is the kind of thing Nico excels at. After the system fails, the engineer will no doubt come up to check the situation. That's when a taser will come in handy. Justin will have to steal the master key to the switchboard from him and then complete the most critical step. After he gains consciousness, the engineer will cause a scene and people will start panicking. The store manager won't have a reason to keep lurking in the exhibition hall and risk being isolated. If Nico is right, improper operation of the power system will cripple the entire school's wiring due to design problems. Justin will try to evacuate from the side of the stage and join everyone as soon as possible, thus ensuring Jasmine's safety for the time being. In any case, Justin has covertly placed the phone in the corner near the air conditioner. After starting the program, all that's left to do is to wait for the prey to fall into the trap. The center of the exhibition hall is quite empty, and the only valid hiding spots are the few dark spaces in the corners. An adult could never fit in there. Good thing Justin is currently far from an adult. However, even with Nico's small body, the various corners and narrow gaps pose a challenge. There aren't many lights around the place. The more functioning equipment should draw everyone's attention and distract them from any other movements. The other option is the far side of the tall display case that almost reaches up to the ceiling. An almost perfect blind spot, and no one would ever go to the trouble of making sure what's actually on the other side of the room first. The disadvantages are obvious. The taser has a limited range, the metal parts shooting from it have a long flight time, and if you miss your shot, you're basically trapped with no way out. Alright, then where to hide? Oh! Oh god, I actually have to choose what Okay, so we want to hit maybe the corner by the entrance then. Top of the glass? How would top of the glass be a hiding spot? Let's try the corner. Time to find the best position for a surprise attack. The closer the distance, the less reaction time the opponent will have. One hit will be enough to avoid any complications. Justin puts the weapon in his mouth and hides himself in the darkness of the corner. Justin uses Nico's phone to send a text message initiating the ignition process. After 3 minutes, the device overhead will stop functioning properly. Then, if all goes well, the engineer will hand over the master key to the switchboard, whether he wants to or not. His heart beating in an irregular rhythm, Justin knows there's nothing else to do but play the waiting game. He takes several deep breaths to calm himself. What's that sound? Things are about to unfold in a way he could never have anticipated. Of course! Because nothing ever goes well for us. Cecile can't find Quinn anywhere, even after an extensive search. During the celebrations, the students preparing for the third year of high school can choose to stay in the classroom to study, but most of them will participate in the celebrations, and those who want to take a proper break can temporarily leave the school grounds. In any case, several of the buildings are as good as empty. She tries asking the students standing in line at the auditorium where Quinn is. The student president is apparently busy and nowhere to be seen among the crowd. The entire student union is leading by example and assisting with the preparations for the school festival. It makes sense that the president is so busy during such a hectic and important time. However, even the members of the student union don't know anything about Quinn's whereabouts, which troubles Cecile. There's still some time before Jasmine's performance begins, which means the opponent still has plenty of opportunities to get at Jasmine. That being said, shouldn't Quinn have... Cecile shakes her head vigorously, trying to drive away her uneasiness. Most of the students are milling around in the more open areas. Maybe it's time to think out of the box and look somewhere else. With this new approach in mind, Cecile heads towards the library. So heavy. Cecile's guess pays off. The student president is pushing a cart with several cardboard boxes stacked up on top of it, struggling to push it along the path outside the library. Also, oh my god, that is such a cute... Mango's emotes are so cute, I love them. The cart's wheels don't seem to be doing their job all too well. Even though she's putting her back into it, the boxes are barely moving at all, meaning they must be full to the brim. At this rate, she won't reach her destination before nightfall. She's obviously popular with the principal and is being entrusted with some pretty important tasks, but she can't even find someone to help her move this stuff. It makes Cecile wonder. Quinn doesn't seem to have noticed her yet. Cecile circles around the cart and approaches Quinn from behind. It looks heavy. Can I give you a hand? Huh? Oh, it's you. Quinn looks exhausted and is breathing heavily. Sorry, just let me catch my breath for a second. If you need help with anything, I'll be right there. It doesn't seem like it. It's fine, there's no rush. The manager's already made the necessary arrangements. He just wanted me to check on you to make sure everything is in order. I'm sorry, it's just that there aren't many helping hands to spare right now. It's the school's 18th anniversary. It's supposed to be fun. It's a shame you have to worry about things like that on a day like this. You really don't have it easy. What's up with those boxes anyway? They look really heavy. The school board is taking care of the festivities well enough, so I don't need to worry too much about it. But I just wanted to see what else needs to be done. Loveburb, mood. Big mood. I cannot catch a lot of Mango streams, but I try as often as possible. And when I passed by the library, the administrator hoped that I could help an older gentleman transport these books to the history museum. I wanted to keep them in the classroom for a while, but plans changed. No amount of preparation can guarantee that things will go smoothly. I know that all too well. Anyway, let me help you out. This time Quinn has no choice but to accept the offer. Cecile grabs the cart. Its weight takes her by surprise. Old books, you said, and they're all in here? No wonder it's so heavy. To be honest, I'm not really sure myself. Usually the alumni office would be contacted in advance regarding anything that needs to be moved, and the library should have their contact information as well. Unless there's something going on over there that requires their full attention. We have people out there if they run into any problems. I'll probably know about it before you do. You saw a big guy doing his thing. He makes people think twice about causing a ruckus while he's at the scene. He'd better be able to calm everyone down. After having seen the destruction of photos, Cecile's confidence has wavered a little. However, Dan and his imposing appearance should at least inspire some confidence in Quinn. She looks really tired right now. At least the boxes haven't sunk into the ground under their own weight yet. With the combined strength of both women, things finally start moving forward at a normal pace. One time, just after school started, you get a bunch of books, right? I put them in a bag And the bag was so heavy, and I didn't even have a long way home. I had like a 50-minute walk. The bag broke. Like, literally, like, suddenly I had a bunch of books in the middle of the road. Because they fell through, because the entire bag broke. And they expected you to bring all of these books to school all the time. Which I'm still mad about. I do not know how I managed to get them home. It was a pain. It was really a pain. By the way, there's one thing I'm still really curious about. Yes? I saw many student union members helping to maintain order today. You have a great reputation. It's because the seniors have built up a lot of trust and traditions within the student body. Not even a lot of lockets at that point. Oh, we don't have those. We don't have those. At least where I went to school, those were not the norm at all. Lockers. I always wished we could have lockers and we could keep the books in there, but no. It was you have to bring the books to school and then have to take them back home afterwards. And God forbid you forget a book because you forgot that book at home and you have classes for that one where you need it, and it's like, well, I forgot it, I'm sorry. I already have 5 other books with me. You had lockers that we weren't allowed. What? But if you have lockers, why weren't you allowed to use them? That's stupid. I went to like from 8th grade on, I went to a school that was literally built completely new. Like a completely new school. And then they were like, oh, we didn't have the space for lockers. I'm like, this is a new building. This is a new building. You're telling me you didn't have the space? You should have just planned them in. Oh, we can't add them afterwards. Well, and there would have been enough space. I'm so glad I'm out of school. So why did a student named Liam act like he did yesterday? Oh, and why am I on the case files? You didn't plan for lockers, right? Yeah! It's like, hi, here's a completely new building. And the building, it was so stupid. It's like... Because instead of, making more rooms and bigger hallways, what we had was you go in and there's a giant auditorium and then super small hallways and like 3 rooms in a row. And then instead of, using again the size of the auditorium on the other side, what we had there was the I don't know how to describe it. Like you would go outside and then they had like 2 trees planted in there, so you could spend your break there instead of making more rooms and making use of the floor of the space. No, here's 2 trees you can sit under. Very, very weird design choice. You guys goes the same way. That is stupid. And pool construction building, people building this silly thing. Yeah, I feel like whoever built that specific school was just fulfilling one of their secret desires and not actually thinking about making it useful for school that houses classes from 5 to 10th grade. No, 10th grade. From 5 to 10th grade. That's a bunch of kids. Well, I only had to deal with it for 3 years. But yeah, very weird. But I got to that school the 2nd year after it was built, and I was late on my 2nd day. Because I couldn't find the room. I was late and couldn't find the room. And we had these fireproof doors that automatically lock. You cannot open them from outside. They're fireproof and bulletproof and everything. And so I knock, right? I knock. And the teacher opens the door and I'm like, I'm sorry I'm late, I couldn't find the room. And she starts going off on me like, what do you mean you can't find the room? You've been going to the school for the past 3 years. I'm like, no, this is my second day, and also this is a new building. I vividly remember that. It was my second day ever and I couldn't find the room. I'm like, yeah, okay, sure. Being annoying for no reason would be a simple explanation, but he honestly doesn't seem like that type of guy. Well, he doesn't have a bad heart, that much is true. You said the same thing yesterday. That means there has to be some sort of explanation for his behavior. Truthfully, we have some small favors we'd like to ask of him, but if it turns out he's not the right kind of person for it, we're going to have a problem. So you want to know what I think of him? If Liam despises authority, using the school's good name to motivate him will backfire on us. I'm afraid it would have the opposite effect. It's better to clear things up straight away. It's just... why him of all people? Quinn sighs helplessly. It may all sound trivial to you, but this year has been hard enough already. Liam is a sports ace who only just transferred from another school this year. It's rather humiliating, but before he arrived here, our school's track and field team didn't have a very good reputation. Skipping classes and getting into fights is one thing. Maybe he's trying to cope with some unresolved issues from his past, who knows, but one of Liam's seniors did something worse than that. Something that sullied the school's good name. He secretly bribed the referee in a match this year, forcing another strong participant out of the tournament. Oh, that's why he reacted so weird to Dan going, how much do I have to pay you? Cheating like that can't have gone unnoticed, can it? No, the referee is forced to explain everything afterwards. It caused a huge uproar at the time. We mustn't allow our school's good name to be dragged through the mud by such dishonorable behavior. As a consequence, the school announced that the track and field teams were going to be disbanded and all activities discontinued. If it was just announced this year, wouldn't that affect Liam in a big way? Yes, and personally I sympathize with him and his situation. He's just very unlucky to have this happen to him. Our follow were many heated arguments between Liam and the principal. In the end, the student union had to step in. In situations like these, we have to meditate the discussion. It was up to us to review the measures taken by the school. As representatives of the student's body, that's something we often have to do. So what was the result? Liam was allowed to continue competing as himself as a private person. However, having already made lots of friends on the team, he was unwilling to accept that condition. Can't they just punish the player who cheated in the first place? When it comes to competing for awards and to uphold the school's reputation, there's no such thing as being alone. Right, everyone wants to seize the opportunity to make sure the competition can never get back up again. Because we came up with the idea together with the principal, Liam started holding a grudge against us too. After that, small arguments and silly fights followed, but nothing serious. If he's hellbent on feeling as if he's being treated wrongly, trying to convince him otherwise will only make him feel more misunderstood. It's out of anyone's control. I understand his temper in regards to the situation. I really do, but I can't accept him actively disrupting the student union's work. In my position, I have to draw a line somewhere. Considering how all of this sounds, I realize how childish it really is. I'm afraid when we all come to our senses, it'll be too late for a friendly solution. Why not lay off him then? The cheating senior has long left the school. I doubt the other students would mind. That would mean we're not doing our job, wouldn't you agree? From the student body's standpoint, ignoring it is no different than giving in. Even if the person in question isn't directly related to the incident? Well, since Liam insists on staying here, this is what he asked for. We represent all of the students as a collective, as well as the school's position, that's it. Though uninvolved Scarlet finds the subject hard to let go. Sure, the team carries some responsibility for the mistakes that have been made, but Quinn's way of handling this is suboptimal. Her approach is too rigid. She sticks to the code too much. All that does is increase the tension between the student union and Liam. But she doesn't seem to realize this. The way she talks makes it sound like it is justified and inevitable. Cecile has seen the same case play out before by a person with the same traits as Quinn, one who was also incredibly stubborn about her standards and who in the process caused those around her pain. Eloise's tragedy mustn't repeat itself. Due to her past experiences, Cecile finds it impossible to simply ignore what's going on. All of it concerns her deeply. Cecile can't find the right words to make Quinn see reason. Even taking advantage of Scarlett's inherent verbal wit won't change the fact. Learning to forgive is something that you only understand after the fact. A lesson Cecile has already learned, but one that Quinn will have to experience for herself. Time flies by when you're occupied by thoughts like that, and before they know it, the two of them have arrived in front of the classroom. There won't be anyone here today, so we just use this classroom. I'll deliver the books when you're sure that there are no problems on your end. I hope you can ask some of the stronger guys to help us with this. That was really exhausting. Yeah, I have to admit I overestimated myself. Without your help, I would probably be stuck halfway right now. Thanks again. Let's go inside and take a short break. Quinn lets go of the card and opens the classroom door. Huh? Quinn's expression is confused all of a sudden. Where did he go? Cecile quickly follows Quinn inside the classroom and takes a look around. The whole room is empty, as if everyone inside has simply vanished. Strange, he said he would be waiting here. Cecile realizes something must be wrong. As Quinn said, something seemed strange from the very beginning. It was unreasonable to entrust the heavy transportation of so many precious books to a single, fairly feeble student. Also, the administrator could have helped Quinn instead of making her do it on her own. After all, it isn't even a regular school day. These books are worth a lot to the school. Entrusting the job to one person who just happened to be passing by is more than strange. The task shouldn't have been handed out so casually. Quinn wasn't even asked to finish the task by a certain time, no specifics were ever mentioned, which makes it seem as if there was never any intention for her to actually complete the task. Could it be that what he wants is... Uh-oh. As if to confirm Cecile's suspicion, the light above their heads suddenly goes out. Ah! We're just gonna have everyone acting and going somewhere, and then suddenly something happens and it switches over to the next person and next person and next person. It's annoying. Hey, that's not good. Zack mumbles to himself while looking at the crowd. The power outage shouldn't have happened yet. It's way too early. The show hasn't even commenced, and he isn't in the right position. This is not how things were supposed to go according to the store manager's plan. Nico making it out successfully, subduing Liam, finding a store manager, there are so many things left to do. But they need enough time. Everything has been planned out carefully. What the hell is Justin doing? Zack curses under his breath. Everyone has been worried that Justin might lack Nico's practical expertise, but who would have thought that he wouldn't only fail to cause a delay, but actually cause the outage to happen too early? This isn't like Justin though. He's been around long enough to know how Nico's weird homemade tools work. He's seen her in action. Maybe he's not as much of a tech whiz as she is, but he doesn't slouch around either. Still, whether or not it's a mistake on his part, the situation is now out of control. What the hell? A blackout? How could this happen? They've been working towards this moment the whole year. Liam is muttering to himself. He still seems to be in the dark, wondering why Zack approached him in the first place. After hearing mention of Quinn's name, Liam became surprisingly obedient. However, he began talking less and less and appears to be extremely preoccupied. Even if they were deadly rivals, his reaction would have been pretty strange. Zack is intrigued to know what Liam is thinking, but now isn't the right time to analyze their relationship. Maybe they dated. Maybe they dated before, maybe they're exes. Who knows? Zack's role in the plan was to find Liam as soon as possible and make him listen. Once Justin has done his part, the two of them will meet him at the remote place they agreed on. That's when the taser comes into play. Cecile is more or less on the same mission, and if necessary, Justin will do the same thing to Quinn. It's just a precaution in case the two of them really were involved in the chaos that happened at the school this time. Last time? Wait, what did it say? Last time. It's the only way to face the adversary. It may go against Justin's normal nature, but this radical approach is the only option they have to protect Quinn, Liam, and themselves. But is it really time to go and meet Justin already? It's way earlier than they agreed upon, but the lights have already gone out. If they wait around too long, Liam is bound to get suspicious. I need to just stay calm and think about this. Plans change, sometimes too fast to react to them, but that's normal. It's more important than ever to stay calm and collected at such a time, or else it'll lead to trouble like it did back in the Sungeon building. Zack does his best to control his emotions, just like the store manager has taught him. Looks like it's already started over there. Come on, we need to hurry. Huh? Did you do this? What the hell were the student union members thinking? Long story, let's go this way. This place is... It's where you saw me yesterday. Don't tell me you forgot about that already. No, of course I didn't forget. But I don't understand why you brought me here now. Is this Quinn's doing? Has she finally decided to teach me a lesson hired you to do the job? If so, don't think I'll make this easy for you. You two really have some serious issues to work out. Liam looks alert and ready for trouble. Zack ignores him as he rummages through the nearby bushes. Moving around the school campus with a shotgun isn't the smartest idea, so Zack stashed it here in the bushes earlier. Here it is. It's covered in dirt and dew, but it's a reliable pump-action model that should work just fine nevertheless. Not that he's planning to actually fire it anyway. Holy shit, is that what I think it is? Even someone of Liam's strong stature can't help but feel intimidated at the sight of such a deadly weapon. His voice is shaking. Don't worry, if I really wanted to kill you, I would have done so on the way here. Had dozens of opportunities to do it. Also, don't you think this would be a little overkill for a guy like you? Yeah, you're right. Justin is nowhere to be seen, which means Zack has to stall Liam a little bit longer. He pulls out the cartridge and shows Liam one of the spare shells. One of these strand rounds is enough to make a brown bear go nighty-night. Of course, Zack is just babbling, but the bright yellow fluorescent shells speak louder than words. Each one of these babies costs about $2,000, and that doesn't even include the cost of getting up through customs yet. Every pull of the trigger feels like burning a fat pile of money. Tranquilizer rounds. Are you a hunter? Hunter? Well, I guess you're not totally wrong. However, I'm hunting something very interesting. I'll give it to you straight. I'm an expert, hired personally by the principal. Things have been somewhat chaotic around here, and your principal is a lot more anxious about it than all you think. Huh. The old guy is only worried about the festival and saving face. He's not a good guy, it's only his personal interest. That's none of my concern. After you ordered me yesterday, I asked the student union to help me search the area. You know the rest. I'm a professional, you understand? Not just some random UMA fanboy. That's why I was called in. Obviously, deep down we all hope it's just a bunch of wild dogs, but that's wishful thinking if you ask me. We can't keep beating around the bush if we don't want things to get even worse. The previous incidents proved just how serious and dangerous the situation actually is. If you had seen what I saw, you would know what I'm talking about. There's a saying in your country somewhere along the lines of paper can't wrap fire. It means the truth will always come out. We better get this over with before more people figure out what's wrong, agree? Zack places a shell in Liam's hand while simultaneously patting him on the shoulder. He tries to make himself look old, wise and reliable, something further amplified by his above average height. He isn't expecting to get any more information out of Liam. That would merely be an added bonus. Making sure that Liam will keep his mouth shut about this is already enough. Now you know. I've told you everything. How about you do the same? I only saw it from afar. I didn't get a good look and I didn't have the courage to get any closer. A few days ago I had an argument with someone. I was just wandering around for a walk to clear my head and calm down. It's when I suddenly heard a strange crunching sound. It was like beef being ripped apart or something. But incredibly loud, you know? I've never heard anything like it before, so naturally I wanted to take a look. That's when you saw those squashed cats and dogs? Yeah, squashed sounds about right. They were passed flat on the ground, one after the other, about 5 or 6 of them. I saw a dark shadow slowly making its way up the mountainside behind them. A shadow, you say? It was like a dark cloud the size of a car, constantly changing shape and color. As it made its way up to the mountain, tentacles extended from underneath it. It looked as if it were moving on stilts. I don't know what it was, but it was creepy as hell, I can tell you that much. It made all kinds of strange noises as it moved. Sometimes it sounded like it was talking, but not in any human language. It was more like noises and sounds that no human could ever replicate. A dead cat's body was still stuck to it. I imagine it had just sucked the blood from those animals and was retreating to wherever it came from. So it didn't see you? I'd be dead if it had. I think it noticed the movement though, judging by how the shadows changed shape. As his eyes widen, Liam gestures with his hands as if worried that his words won't convey his meaning clearly. A large part of it fell to the ground, like it had separated some gooey, shadowy mass from itself. It dropped to the ground and violently twitched around. Its shape became more slender by the second. At the end of it all, it was about the size and shape of a human. Wait, you're saying a person split from it? It just looked like one, but then its color changed and... And what? What happened then? You... behind you? Liam looks as if he's seen a ghost. Even what he saw back then didn't scare him this much. Zack suddenly feels a chilling, oppressive aura right behind him as something grabs him by the shoulders. This is our secret, little brother. A familiar voice is ringing in Zack's ears, hoarse, deep, and full of disdain. No way. Using all of his strength, Zack manages to turn his head sideways a little. However, that doesn't help him in the least. Hello there. How's my body holding up? Why are you here? Hi. Isn't that obvious? 2 birds with 1 stone. This annoying brat is here and I get to kick your ass. Where else would I be if not here? What the fuck? But I like how they're showing that it's a different one by making his text box different. Sex's other self is standing a mere 5 centimeters behind him, a cold, cruel smile mirroring his evil intent. Woo! At that very moment, another sinister, dangerous presence enters Sex's field of vision. That's... what? The creature Liam was describing suddenly right there, no longer mere story, but very, very real. Uh-oh. It takes but a split second for Sex's fragile mind to be overtaken by the frenzied madness. This nightmare, however, is only just beginning. He smiled sadistically at the young man's complete inability to react. You're walking around in a borrowed body. The rent is due. Time to pay up. Hi, TK. Good evening. What the fuck? Rent is up. Rent is due. Rent is due. Time to pay up. What the hell? Where the hell are they? I'm standing in front of the empty building we agreed to meet at. The doubts in my mind just keep piling up on top of one another. There's no sign of Nico. Dan and Scarlett are nowhere to be seen either. Only Jasmine and I are at the meeting spot. We look at each other, fully aware that things aren't going as planned at all. I never would have expected things to turn so messy. True, this whole thing was quickly put together, a rushed job in the truest sense of the word, but we've been through this kind of risky situation before. We're a team that knows exactly what's at stake. The others are focused on a goal, and a lack of communication is uncharacteristic for everyone involved. Right now, however, none of them are here and the phones aren't working either. Where's Nico? Where's Mr. Dan or Miss Scarlett? It's okay, Jasmine, don't worry. I'm sure they'll all be here soon. I pat Jasmine's head and sit down with her by the side of the road. I should stay calm. There's no need to be worried just yet. Maybe they just went into something that requires more time. They are under a lot of pressure after all. I got here on time, but even before that, the power had already gone out, causing a blackout earlier than we had planned. It's not at all like Nico to make a mistake like that, but who am I to judge? There's a lot of pressure on her. After all, everyone else's timing is dependent on the power outage. Sure, she likes to hurl insults around, but I know all too well that Nico has a good heart. She's responsible with this sort of thing and is fully aware of how much is at stake here. She works even better under pressure when she knows failure isn't an option. The more I think about it, could Nico be in danger? One would think that after so many close calls and dangerous encounters, I would be used to this paralyzing sensation of doubt and fear by now, but it's always the same nauseating feeling. It lingers deep down in my stomach, so overpowering that I simply cannot find the right words to comfort Jasmine, who's growing increasingly worried as well. Hey, there they are, Miss Scarlett, Mr. Dan! Huh? The little girl jumps up, filled with joy as she runs off towards the others. Scarlett and Dan appear, followed by Liam and Quinn. They look disheveled and exhausted, but none of them seem to be hurt. The 2 students struggling behind Scarlett and Dan look disoriented and shocked, though I don't know why. What happened? Have you guys seen Nico? I'm sorry, we couldn't find the kid anywhere. I have no idea where she went. Really? Well, I can't say I blame you. The situation is a mess. The police had already blocked off the entire site when I arrived, preventing anyone from entering or leaving. That is not good. Thank you for the posture check in the Hermitage. And the pad, thank you. 1 second. I wasn't able to get in either, but I circled around. They weren't watching the entrance to the stairs all that closely. So in other words, Nico either didn't make it there in the first place or they didn't find her. I don't know. The power would never go out on its own like that. Also, I say hiding without being noticed would be next to impossible given how many people are on site. That's strange. Could that mean somebody else tampered with the power? My mind is racing. Things are getting more complicated by the second. It doesn't make any sense. There were 2 separate incidents, one in which stray animals were killed, and another in which an ancient relic was stolen. The power wasn't cut in either of those cases. If somebody sabotaged the power while we were investigating, it means whoever's working against us is on the move. As far as I'm aware, nothing resembling the 2 incidents has happened again though. Pretty peculiar. It looks like Nico's the only one with any actual answers as to what really happened. I hope I get a chance to ask her about it. By the way, what made you decide to bring these 2 along all of a sudden? I just picked them up on my way here. I noticed they weren't looking too good, so I brought them along so you could take a look at them yourself. Then pushes the two students towards me. He's right, they definitely don't look like they're doing too well. They both move like sandbags as he pushes them towards me. They say dead bodies are heavier than live ones, but that's actually due to the shift in the body's center of gravity after having lost muscle restraint. It feels heavier when picking it up, which also seems to be the case with the two students, although they're clearly still breathing. The condition... By the way, I feel mean to ask. I'm just an educated man, that's all, so why do you guys always think of me as a psychiatrist? Well, I can tell if a body's injured, physically that is. You're obviously much more experienced when it comes to matters of the mind. I'm simply following what literature tells me, so don't make it sound as if I've worked in a mental hospital. Mental hospital, huh? Don't get me started. I don't even want to imagine how much more health insurance would cost if they found out about all the cultist brainwashing nonsense. You're finally back to your old ways, huh? Where was that loudmouth of yours these last 2 days? I thought a remark in Dan's direction while pulling back Quinn's eyelids to inspect her pupils. They remain enlarged even when a bright light is shining directly at them. I've never seen such an unresponsive iris before. The reaction of her pupils bothers me too. Quinn doesn't make any attempts to blink. Even people who are born blind can't do that. It feels like I'm working on some sort of mannequin during a medical lesson. I approach Liam and give him the same checkup. His condition is the same as Quinn's. They seem completely lifeless, although they're both displaying vital signs. This is strange. Liam, Quinn, can you hear me? Everyone around me stays silent as not to disturb me, but it's no use. The two students remain completely unresponsive. I see no way Dan brought them to me. If he could have treated them with conventional means, he would have done so already. And he didn't bring them here just so I could do a routine medical checkup, which he could have easily done as well. Alright then, I should try something that's closer to my area of expertise. I lift up an old piece of wood and hold it under their noses. Light brown sap starts to ooze from the decaying branches, giving off a rotten and dull smell similar to aged matcha powder. It's something that I stumbled upon during a past case. A group of fanatics obsessed with the mysteries of traditional medicine somehow found the secret recipe for the essence of dreams. All of them were plagued by strange images in their dreams that ultimately drove them mad. This antidote that I'm using right now could have saved them, but when I arrived at the scene, nobody there could resist the allure of an endless, wonderful dream. All of them went on a journey, one they could never return from. I know how to apply it correctly, but I don't know if it's the right treatment for this particular condition. Even so, it's my only option. Might as well give it a shot. So you're telling me you're just running around with a decaying branch in your pockets all the time? Okay. I rest my forehead against theirs as I apply the resin to both of their faces, softly repeating the chant required for this ritual. Well, I guess he has one voice line. They tremble slightly as the skin begins to heat up beneath the resin. My brain feels a little cold, as if my soul is drifting away. It may not sound like it, but that's a good sign. This is my chance to reach out to them. No matter where they are right now, if this works, they'll be able to explain exactly what happened after I get them back. Oh shit. What? A sudden cold pain in my chest interrupts my chant. It is a piercing, icy sensation that brings me back to reality. I lower my hat. The tip of some kind of metallic object is sticking out of my torso right where my lungs are. No, I know what kind of object this is. It's a dagger, sharp and long. One that I've seen cut through living and dead things in the swift, merciless hands of its owner before. This is Dan's dagger. Sorry, manager. It's game over. The pain is only now starting to register in my brain, yet the massive, overwhelming confusion that occupies my mind is still drowning it out. The blade twists at a 90-degree angle and is violently thrust sideways. My limbs have gone numb and I've lost all control of my body as it falls limply to the ground. Why? You've always been a curious guy, that's your nature. I'm sure you have a lot of questions right now, but you won't get any answers. Dan twists the dagger once more and looks straight into my eyes. I don't know when it happened, but Jasmine must have been strangled a while ago. Dan is holding her motionless body in his arms. Her dead eyes are still covered in tears. Scarlet, where are you? Stop him, Scarlet! I muster all my strength to turn my head sideways before I lose consciousness. Scarlet is nowhere to be seen, neither are the two students. Oh wait, specks of writhing writhing shadows are crawling and twisting on the ground, slowly getting up with humanoid legs. Nose, eyes, mouth, ears. Scarlet's features are floating on the shadow's surface like a twisted, unholy caricature. Hazy despair eventually envelops me. It's too late for explanations, too late for anything to make sense. Dan casually puts a dagger in his pocket and kicks me in the hand with the tip of his show, forcing me to look up at the sky again. In the short moments before I take my last breath, my eyes break through the dark haze and I can see everything clearly. Oh hey! This is the same CG that we had on... Oh! A cloud of colors is floating through the air, accompanied by an inexplicable, unnatural sound. It has no shape. My eyes can't process it properly, almost as if it were an optical glitch that doesn't belong in this world. The colors flicker and change, passing over my hand and floating off into the distance. And yet it doesn't actually fly away. It has a beginning but no end. The colors stretch out endlessly, and although their borders remain, it shows no sign of stopping. Beautiful. It's magnificent, isn't it? Don't you want to get a closer look? He squats down beside me, mumbling to himself as if he's reciting a poem. Is it close to me or far away? How big is it? Strange questions that have no answer flood my mind, gradually overwhelming me until there's nothing else left to think about. Then the whole world finally goes dark. What? Oh, we're going back in time? Again? The fuck? Slowly but surely he opens his eyes. The ceiling, it looks familiar yet completely strange at the same time. Why is this text so slow? Don't do that. What is this place? Is this heaven? After a short moment of doubt, he realizes how stupid that question actually sounds. How silly. Even if heaven and hell both existed, neither of them would look like this. That leaves only one conclusion. Finally, you're the last one to wake up. Zack's deeper than usual voice hums from above, probably waking up Nico. Help me up, will you? Nico tries to stand up and two large hands lift her up from behind. The others are also in a room, standing around Nico in a circle. Everyone looks dead serious. Seeing their faces, the memories return at long last. Images flash before Nico's eyes. Most of them are extremely unpleasant. It feels like nothing I did even mattered. Don't say that, we've all been so worried about you. Yeah, she's right. Although it's a pain, Jasmine just fell asleep and now you wake up. Looks like you can't enjoy a single moment without at least one little girl awake. His words have a certain weight to them, but the hidden information behind them is too much to process right now. So you two are still Cecile and Zack? That's right. Well, I can only speak for myself. I'm still Zack. I mean, this me right here is Zack, and the other one isn't. Ah, hell, I don't understand. None of this makes any sense. What exactly happened? What's going on? I haven't figured it out yet. When I woke up, I was already in this room. It's the same for everyone. Judging by the way we woke up one after the other, there's a bit of a delay, but the difference is negligible. By the way, keep your voice down. The store manager's just fallen asleep outside. It's been a long, grueling day. You can say that again. So what time is it now? 12 p.m., huh? But the date is the tricky part. Cecile steps forward to hand Justin a towel. In 6 hours we get up early, grab our equipment and go to the school together with the store manager. And then we'll come back here? Only now does he realize how sweaty he is. Nico's whole body looks like somebody threw her into a pool. All that sweat makes me wonder about the way you died. Wait, the way I what? Quinn and I found something weird in the classroom. How do I describe this? It was shapeless, like a gooey, meaty mass. It had eyes everywhere and made sounds that resembled some kind of indecipherable speech. Before I could react, it swelled up to the size of a car and chased us across the room between the desks and chairs. We reached the stairs, but it was smart. It blocked our way, so we never had an opportunity to get past it. Before we knew it, we ended up on the rooftop trapped. Cecile lowers her head. Her expression is a mixture of fear and deep sadness. Corinne was so frustrated. She said something and pushed me down. As I fell, all I saw from the corner of my eye was her body being thrust against the railing, utterly crushed by the massive flash. Blood sprayed everywhere. Cecile squeezes her fist to stop from trembling. Zack puts a hand on her shoulder as if to tell her that she doesn't have to say anything else. My situation was a little more complicated than that. I also saw a flashy, sludgy thing. They can separate and split into multiple parts. They may look slow, but they're incredibly fast and agile. They can turn into all kinds of shapes. And did those things get you too? No, they just appeared and I saw them, but I killed myself. What did you say? Wait, you mean... That's right, Dan is here too. Although deep down he anticipated something like this might happen, the news of Dan's appearance still manages to shake Justin to his core. Even with me basically being in the same body, there was a world of difference between the two of us. He managed to jump me. He just turned up out of nowhere. Why exactly did he... I mean, how would he know? Don't ask me. We're all in the same boat. I don't know any more than you do. Zack sighs heavily and turns his head to the side. Dan is a heavy smoker. He's even worse than the store manager. When he sat down to smoke, Nico and Scarlett often had to flee the room. The air, if you could even still call it that, became unbearable. Maybe this memory of Nico is trying to tell Justin something. The smell isn't as harsh and suffocating in the memory as it was in reality. A small relief. So that's how we all failed. It's hard to come to terms with it. Mumbling to himself, Justin slowly accepts the cruel reality of it all. We have to admit that nothing went as though we thought it would. This whole operation was over before it even started. On top of that, there are actual monsters at the school, the likes of which we've never seen before. And there's no doubt that something is seriously wrong with that massive hole at the tennis court too. Nothing along the timeline went as it should have. Our intervention changed things. Think about it. I was attacked at the very moment I was busy with the blackout part of our plan. You guys became targets right after finding Quinn and Liam. It's as if somebody was aware of our every move. The air, if you could even call it, became unbearable. My experience with smokers in general. Yeah. Mood. Yo. Your headache gotten any better? And that guy appearing right in front of Zack. Could all the scheming and plotting behind the scenes be Dan's doing? He didn't hesitate for a second before taking his own body. I don't even think he's human, just a merciless, heartless beast. Could this really be the way it all ends? Does Dan know something? Maybe something we don't. Judging by what you said, he didn't seem surprised to see himself at all. True, maybe there's something only he knows. I never expected him to just show up at the school like that. None of this makes any sense. What's his current condition if Zack's the one who's been using his body all this time? Is there some other way to travel around? I mean, if you use a time machine, you can take your body with you, right? Aww. I don't know, I've never heard Scarlett or Nico mention anyone who could have that kind of knowledge besides the store manager. They wouldn't have had to take such big risks with us before if they knew more people who were familiar with this kind of stuff. Currently scarfing down dinner, ooh. Well, that's something good though. Maybe Dan was playing dumb the whole time. If I remember correctly, those monsters at the school never attacked him. Do you think Dan is somehow working with them as well? Translators know what Nico means cat. Oh, come on, really? Those things, the way they move, I can think of a single effective way of fighting them. They can change shape and get past anything. Plus, they're incredibly strong. I didn't find anything about them that could help us. The store manager can't help us, so we can't rely on spells and rituals like we did in the past. We have no idea what they are or what they're called. We're up against the unknown that has no problem outmaneuvering us anywhere. It's much stronger than us, and all we have is a taser and a shotgun loaded with freaking paintballs. Nothing works in our favor this time around. There's a Monhan character named that? Really? Like, that's funny. The detective's pessimistic conclusion causes a collective sigh throughout the room. Well, what more is there to say? What more is there to say? You're right. Justin lowers his head. Someone with his sense of responsibility has a hard time dealing with this feeling of failure. But worrying is a waste of time. He doesn't need any comfort or nice words. He needs actions and results. Two birds with one stone. Annoying Brad is here and I get to kick your ass. But why does Dan want to see Jasmine dead? That's the problem. I'm not sure what happened and I don't know what's going on, but we're still alive and kicking. That's all that counts right now. Yeah, no, I get it. I understand that the text boxes legitimately say Nico means cat. But that makes it even funnier. Nothing is set in stone yet. Now that we know Dan has his eyes set on Quinn and Liam, it's obvious that there must be a value to him. Getting to them before he does and taking them away from the school should give us some much needed time to prepare. As long as we ignore the situation of the history building, we should be able to move around freely. That's the gist of it, right? Exactly. The outcome can't possibly get any worse anyway. Ahaha! I'm sorry for this change of plan, but I can't think of any other way. Don't be. Whatever it takes. Zack clenches his fist as his gaze becomes more determined. This determination rubs off on Cecile as well, and her fighting spirit is renewed. Even if it doesn't have anything to do with Jasmine, I don't want Quinn to meet such a cruel fate either. And I won't be able to sleep peacefully until I make that sadistic idiot with his annoying laugh suffer. Cecile crosses her arms and looks at the others with a serious expression on her face. All the efforts to save somebody have only resulted in 2 more people dying. Justin can't accept that. Even though this case has reached a magnitude that none of them could have anticipated, Justin can't deny that the overall preparation was lackluster. While with the other 2 being students themselves, he feels an obligation to lead them and keep them safe. Spoken actually proven by no one ever. It can literally always get worse. Zack can handle himself, and Cecile is a clever girl. Still, Justin feels a strong sense of responsibility in the face of such danger. It is his duty to keep the others from getting hurt. One question is eating away at Justin, though. Now that they have more information, will the others keep on supporting him and go along with his plan? Before Justin can say anything, Zack starts to speak, raising one eyebrow like he always does. Ah, well. I should just beat myself to a pulp right now, but he won't have much to laugh about then. Zack, don't joke about that. Cecile seems overly excited. Her concern for everyone is obvious, and her shocked reactions always make Zack's dumb jokes way funnier than they have any right to be. Zack turns to the side and gestures towards Justin. I'm serious this time. And I trust you. Zack's voice is hoarse. Staring into Nico's eyes still confuses him, and it stirs up a whirlwind of mixed emotions. But he stands by his words. Considering all the things they've seen, which nobody would have ever believed to be real, who's to say hope doesn't exist? Weighing the odds is the wrong approach right now. They simply have to trust each other and believe in themselves. Justin attempts a fearless and determined gaze as much as his childlike face will allow. Then I'm with you. Let's do this together. Alright. One more time then. The Dark of the Night offers the best disguise he could hope for. His shoes make a dull sound on the concrete, but it doesn't travel far. He's experienced walking softly and barely making any noise. The past has been his teacher, giving him confidence in his abilities. It doesn't get better. It gets worse. I don't know what song you're referring to, so the melody right now was completely off. All of this is the result of sheer muscle memory. It's as if he's become one with the air surrounding him as he moves on silently. As it turns out, this is simply another talent amplified by the body swap, something that Zack has taken for granted up until now. Having a skill set like this can't hurt. The fence is quite high with a metal railing at the top. Lush streets stretch out above it, and even the smallest movements would be enough to shake the branches. He can't risk being exposed. Forgot the talent trying to look for it only eats modern trash. Oh, okay. Did someone already make a story about how something constantly gets worse? One chapter for one step of things getting worse. It's not... I know a book that has a part of it that goes like this, technically. Where it's like someone was way up there and then it gets worse and it gets worse and it gets worse. But the way the story is told is you start at a long time after when it literally was the worst it ever was, and you just start somewhere, and then you have like the timeline, it's just happening, things are happening, and then you get flashbacks, and you get flashbacks to like the time when it was super good, and you're like, wow, I wonder what happened in between, and like it keeps going, and you have this modern thing happen, the current timeline, and then it's one book, but like the fourth big story arc is all about the worst parts, and it's like, oh, okay, so that's where it got worse. Oh, well, but they got better again, right? Like, that's the beginning of the book. They got better again. No, it gets worse. Oh, it gets so much worse. I cried during this fourth arc a lot. It was very sad and hurt a lot. And you're like, oh my god. And it just kept getting worse. The good thing is, though, that it has a good ending. The book has a good ending and everything, but oh god. I don't want to actually spoil what happens during the getting worse part, though, because it is a big story thing, but Jesus Christ. If you ever feel like reading a story that is longer than the entire Bible, then I can tell you if you want. It has a good ending until they make a sequel. No. It has a genuinely good ending. And our main character only deserves the best. If anyone makes him feel bad, I will fight. A story's name is Fate Stay Night. It is not! I have to read Fate Stay Night sometime myself. He stretches the muscles in his broad back, then pulls himself up and quietly squeezes through the gap at the top of the fence. The tools in his backpack are tightly wrapped. Being on his own makes his job particularly dangerous for Zach, but he's the only one with a chance at pulling it off successfully. The threat is very real. Everything is still a confusing mess and the plan is far from perfect. Stepping up and taking action is the only way forward, otherwise there won't be a future to speak of. The longer than the Bible thing, it's like, honestly, if you read fan fiction semi-frequently, longer than the Bible is not even long anymore. It's like, oh no. Gee, it's a few 100k words. Okay. So what? When it came to deciding who should handle the job that required smashing through glass windows, the choice was obvious. It seems he'll never be able to leave his past actions and behavior behind him. He volunteered to go alone. Under the cover of night, he moves swiftly and unseen, the darkness concealing his every action. How he feels about it all, whether he's sad or scared, none of that matters. Distractions such as emotions will have to wait until the sun comes up. He must do what has to be done before he loses the cover of the night. That's pretty much it. Let me take care of the rest. A few 100k words in a day is also longer than the Bible. I mean, I have definitely read fan fiction in the middle of the night that was a few 100k. Not sure if that's a good or bad thing, knowing what few fanfics I do. I tend towards the latter. Oh, no, I have a bunch. I have a bunch that are genuinely so good that I'm wondering if these people are actually like published writers as well, or if they're just doing it in their off time. Because if they're just doing it in their off time, then I really would wish them to, you know, I don't know, earn some money with it or something, because it's so good. That's pretty much it. Let me take care of the rest. I kick the two large backpacks in front of me and look at my friends. You sound optimistic, but doesn't it ultimately just boil down to you waiting on the sidelines until you hear from us? Nico rolls her eyes and plays with the wire cutter in her hand, flicking it around like a butterfly knife. Wouldn't write in one assessment belong to. I mean, I finished up my one Chinese web novel last week, so that was nice. So now I can actually go and read fanfics without fear of spoiling myself for the ending. His skills seem to have improved quite a bit since the start of our journey. Although I should be glad to have someone like that on my team, it leaves me with mixed feelings. I would like to say that I've taken on the role of a parental guardian, and I'm fairly certain most parents wouldn't consider hacking and lockpicking skills to be proud of. That's just the first step. The important part comes afterwards. Improvising is never easy. Well, that's one way of saying we didn't have enough time to prepare. We are out in the open at the empty tennis court. The school being closed is a big help. It makes our job easier. Rumors about the weird holes on a court have been spreading like wildfire throughout the school, which means very few people dare to come here. The one you're not allowed to mention by name because, like, somebody's working without agreeing with the reviews is strictly forbidden. What? Oh, JK Turfling, you mean? Yeah. Students love to tell scary stories, and we can use that to our advantage to make sure there aren't any unwanted interruptions. The general fear of the unknown is coming in handy, quite ironic considering the fact that we are the experts who were brought in to address these fears. Well, I mean, I enjoyed my time with the Harry of Potters back then, but I'm not actively making an effort to engage with any media form of it ever again. because of her views and what nonsense she's spewing, so yeah. Will Dan really be there later? He's not responding to any of my calls. Too unreliable for my taste. He just woke up a little too late. He left early in the morning, said he was heading out to have a look around. Suddenly he can't wait any longer and is out and about so early. He should be more considerate. It's good to prepare, but making a racket and stopping Jasmine from getting her rest is wrong. It's rare for the guy to take the initiative. I think he considers your whole approach to be too casual and slow. But not being where he's supposed to be at the appointed time is another matter altogether. You two are quite protective of him today. Couldn't care less about either. Yeah, that's fair. That's fine. I'm just not a big fan of, you know, supporting someone who thinks people like me should be dead. Kinda. And then there was the one funny fanfic, yeah. I mean, one day we could. You know what? Next stream project, we just breed my immortal on stream. Easy. We'll be here for days, months, who knows? We still have 15 minutes left. You're not nervous, are you? Do you want me to answer that honestly? Never mind. In the past I was able to help others with my knowledge, but this time I have to rely on everyone's combined experience and expertise. Nico's genius, Scarlett's acting, Dan's strength. I've never depended on or asked this much of them before. Even if nobody said anything and followed me here, that feeling of my own incompetence still creeps into my heart. You can give us homework where we all have to write our own fanfictions and you read them on stream. Homework? I would unironically enjoy that though. I would enjoy that. I love reading stuff other people write. Be it humorous or be it actually like serious. They're not good tales. No. My Immortal is not what I would say peak writing. But it sure is funny. Scarlett seems to understand what I'm thinking all too well and doesn't dwell on the subject any further. By the way, what makes you so sure you'll be able to stop that thing in the history building? There's nothing we could do about it if it turns up anywhere else, is there? Sorry, I'd rather not answer that right now. It could interfere with the plan. I promise to explain everything properly once the dust is settled. It may not sound like a valid reason, but I trust my judgment on this one. If the enemy is truly aimless when it comes to their target selection, the odds of them finding the right place straight away are slim. The timing of it all is key here. The changes to the exhibit's original layout could very well affect the thief's plan. In order to cover up the truth, the piece in question has been returned to its original position and is still on display. If that is indeed the intended target, the enemy will surely try to steal it again, with us lying in wait. If they don't show up, then it's possible that the artifact they're after is the one that was stolen from the museum. However, not many people know about the replacement location, allowing us to narrow down the scope of the investigation accordingly. If it's the one I'm thinking of, TV Drop Subscribe does rather like the Iliad, only stupid. It's the one with, my name is Dementia, Ebonus, Darkness, Ravenway, or whatever her name is. The one people like to quote. I would like to quote it as well, but I don't probably know the beginning that well. No, Dementia, Darkness, Ravenway or something? Hold on. I can type. Hi, my name is Ebony Darkness, Dementia Ravenway, and I have long ebony black hair. That's how I got my name, with purple streaks and red tips that reach... I can't read any further than that. Well, it sure is a thing. Yeah, thinking of the right one. Yeah. It's a classic. If they have no knowledge about this at all and are simply going in blind, all my guesses would turn out to be incorrect. Naturally, the whole plan would fail. Luckily, I believe that the chances of that being the case are very low. Everyone involved will have to play the cards sooner or later. Once that happens, there's no changing the situation. The mere thought of this stirs up a sense of adventure in me that I haven't felt in a long time. Thinking happy thoughts? You're smiling all of a sudden. Huh? Am I? Is my face that easy to read? No, it's just Forget it. All that's left now is for Dan to come to the meeting point. Let's hope he takes us seriously and doesn't fool around. Nico, do you know how to use that thing you're carrying? It's not exactly common, that's why I'm asking. I watched Nico fiddle with the taser. The plastic casing in its block-shaped frame with yellow stripes on the front makes it look fancier than it actually is, but that doesn't make it less practical. Tech like that always looks strange to the uninformed, so I'd better keep my opinion about it to myself. Don't worry, I found a good tutorial on how it works online. Wait, you what? You're absolutely sure you can trust that information? I mean, technically there's also tutorial videos on YouTube on how to perform several different surgeries. Question is just if you want to follow those. Well, let's see. Nico lowers her head, pressing buttons on a taser until an obnoxious beeping sound can be heard. I suddenly get a very ominous feeling in my gut. You can never be sure unless you try, right? What the? Well, that's that. You sure everything's okay? It smells burned. I don't know. This is designed for crowd control during riots, so it should be fine. Anyway, he won't be able to move for a while, that's for sure. Jesus Christ! Literally everything is deliberate. I feel like that's forbidden knowledge. I mean, there was a person who came forth to say that they're the author of My Immortal, but I'm not sure if they really are. If they can prove it or something, so... If they are, maybe you could ask. Justin pulls the 2 electrode darts off the store manager's skin and rolls the insulated copper wire back together. The wires conduct electricity, meaning they probably shouldn't be left stuck on a target's skin. Also, to avoid abuse by its user, the taser gun disperses dozens of small confetti-like paper scraps with serial numbers on them whenever it's fired. Picking them all up is a real hassle and next to impossible. Cleaning everything up is tricky, and this weapon is obviously only intended to subdue and incapacitate an opponent in a non-lethal way. Since it leaves so many traces after being fired, only someone who knows they're on the right would fire it openly. This situation, however, is what Justin would describe as a mortal grey area. He tucks the darts away and reloads the taser. The voltage was enough to make him pass out for a while. This taser operates on simple batteries, so it's best not to expect it to work this well multiple times in a row. Could you look for something to tie him up with? It doesn't sound nice, I know, but he won't stay unconscious forever, and once he wakes up, I'm pretty sure he'll have a lot to complain about. Meaning he gets loud. Very loud. Huh? Right, yeah, I'll go look for some rope. Justin looks at Cecile's panicked expression and starts having his doubts about whether she'll be alright. Don't bother, I've got this. I have a big old roll of duct tape here, enough to wrap him up like a mummy. Zach, you're finally here, we've been waiting for you. I took my time, I just wanted to make sure that Jasmine is safe and sound. Every time Jasmine's name is mentioned, Nico's body trembles a little. Though the feeling was incredibly weird at first, after a couple of days of adjusting to it, Justin has gotten used to it. Are you sure? Come on, Star Manager, just enjoy some street dreams for a while. Jeez, was he always this heavy? Zack gets to work, loud ripping and tearing noise can be heard due to all the duct tape. Zack seems relaxed and happy as he quietly hums to himself. His whole demeanor is eerily similar to that of the real Dan. Justin realizes that a face can't really hide anything. That's why the faces of people driven by evil thoughts are so scary. I assume that since he's not being beaten to a pulp by security guards, Zack pulled off his job successfully? I hope so. Truth be told, that's what I've been mostly worried about when it comes to his plan. His body looks different, sure, but his brain is still the same size, so... Hey, guys, I'm right here. I can hear you. Well, what's done is done. We're off to a good start. I understand your concern, and you're right. As the old me, I probably would have been caught by security before even making it inside, but everything went smoothly. I climbed up to the top floor from the side wall, then managed to make it to the window and crawl inside. Did you get bitten by a spider and forgot to tell us about it? Who can say? Only Dan knows. Anyway, once I got close, my body took over. It was as if I reacted to everything before it could even register with my brain. Is that how all veterans act? He's no ordinary veteran. I'm guessing that this guy has been in more military camps than he can count. By the way, here it is. I'm not sure what this little bell is for, but maybe you're familiar with it? Zack pulls a black cloth out of his pocket and opens it. Wrapped inside is a small bell. Doesn't really look like a famous artifact. Did you find out what it's called? I tried, but there's as good as nothing about it. I scoured the internet and it seems to be a pretty recent discovery. Very little is known about it. Maybe any research on it isn't available to the public? Without a written dissertation that has been officially published, it makes sense that so little information is available. No idea. I'm the wrong person to ask about that kind of stuff. Justin sighs, although he could have guessed that things would turn out like this in the end. Why don't you ask me? Zack spreads his arm in his less than stellar attempt at a joke. Not funny. What's next, Justin? Are we going to proceed as planned? We have no reason not to try. We have the bell and are already too involved to turn back. Justin wraps the bell back up again and passes it to Zack. It's almost weightless, as if unaffected by gravity. After some careful consideration, Justin allows Zack to shove it into his backpack. Cecile and I will go find Quinn and Liam. It should be safe as long as you stay clear of the library. This time I will stop her before she reaches the library. Whatever happens, I can't let her get near the school building again. In that case, I'll lend you my taser, just to be on the safe side. Maybe it would make sense to use Liam as bait. I tried that yesterday. Those two have a lot of secrets. Okay, thanks. Cecile grabs the taser. She looks a little sad. And then we sneak off with Jasmine and go home. That has to be the way, doesn't it? Cecile puts a hand to her forehead. She looks exhausted. If there were any other way, we wouldn't be doing this. There aren't many other students at the school who could be after the bell. Dan could find out and come after us. If that happens, I want us to be ready. That's why I was fiddling with the circuitry earlier, remember? You learned how to set up electric shock traps from a monkey controlling a human body. I can't be the only one who realizes how ridiculous that sounds. Monkey or not, as long as the traps work, that's all that counts. Justin steps in front of Zack. He gazes at the young man, an inexplicable fire burning behind his eyes. I know this is a chaotic operation, even more so than yesterday, but we know more now and we are aware of the most important points. If everything goes according to plan, it will be much better than yesterday. I sure hope so. Dan is strong, stronger than all of us combined. Nothing can take it by surprise. He's cold and calculating. I saw that with my own eyes yesterday. That means he must have known something that we were still unaware of at the time. We need to find out what happened afterwards. Zack's pessimistic words come at a bad time, but he's right. Digging into his memories makes Justin lose some of his motivation. Still, the only option is to go forward. Zack's courage and perseverance, in spite of the hopeless situation, inspire Justin. I don't know if Jasmine will let us try again, and I don't plan on ending up as cannon fodder. We won't throw our lives away. We have to be brave if we ever want to solve this. That's just about the most uplifting thing I've heard you say yet. We could use a breakthrough. Zack looks a little lost and stares off into the distance. Trust me one more time. All of us can pull this off together, okay? You're in charge. We're with you. Thanks. All of us together. Following his old habits, the detective reaches out to tip his hat before realizing his hand is grasping at thin air. It takes a few seconds before he remembers which body his soul is occupying at the moment. Well, I sure hope it's not a thing of them having to retry it like 5 times or something. What? You're not coming to the event? Come on, showing up to these things every once in a while won't kill you. Me being there will only cause trouble. I'm aware of my reputation, and so are you, so there's no need to be nice to me. You always refuse to participate. Sooner or later the teacher will take notice, and once he steps in, all of us will suffer. I see. Damn. Just let me think about it. What's the matter anyway? Did something happen? At first I thought you were just in a bad mood. No, it's just... I'm sorry to interrupt, but this young man has work to do. What? Do you know that guy? I know him, but... I need to talk to you about something. Has to do with what happened yesterday. Huh? Hey, you don't have some kind of deal with a foreign coach, do you? If there's one thing I hate, it's people who betray the country and sell their pride for money. Use your head, will you? Do you really think someone with my reputation and skill level would get scouted? How should I know? Could be that you just kept your real talent hidden from us all along. You have a healthy imagination, I'll give you that. I see you two are tight. The magic of friendship. Tone down the sarcasm, you seeing this, right? This kind of stuff is exactly where I can go with you. I'm sure your teacher has been notified and will inform you sooner rather than later. I just returned from the principal's office, so if you have any questions, take it up with your teacher. Huh? Okay. I'll be boring him then. See you later. Anyway, hey, don't drag me along like that. Get your hands off of me. I can walk just fine on my own. Huh. That guy's Chinese was really good for a foreigner. Because the mind occupying the body is a Chinese-born dude. Wow, he really bought it. I didn't think something like that would work in real life. That was straight out of a movie. I'll be the one getting in trouble for it, so you have nothing to worry about anyway. I'll handle it, alright? Trust me. Trust you? How can I? When we first met, you lied and pretended to be a tourist. A tourist on a school building place thingy. What's the word? You know, in the general area of a school, right? A tourist. Definitely. I also check out schools whenever I'm, you know, sightseeing. Right. I did, didn't I? Back to the point. What do you want? It really has something to do with what happened yesterday. That wasn't a lie. You mean that animal in the mountains? You still haven't given up yet? I don't give up that easily. Hey, over there. Take a look at that. What is it? Zack quietly moves behind Liam, forming a pretend pistol with his fingers. He slowly presses it against Liam's back. What the? Shh, keep it down. Won't want anyone to take notice now, will we? Goodbye. I travel to random school courtyards all the time. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, courtyard. Can't believe you managed to bring something like that inside the school grounds. I'm not gonna lie to you. The school hired me because I'm an expert. I didn't bring this gun along to use it on kids, just to make that clear. Things have been somewhat chaotic around here, and your principal's a lot more anxious about it all than you think. Huh, the old guy is only worried about the festival and saving face. He's not a good guy, it's all in his personal interest. One familiar answer. Zack feels a little strange. Liam is straightforward and easy to read. He doesn't hide anything. Zack decides to answer with equally familiar words. That's none of my concern. After you spotted me yesterday, I asked the student union to help me search the area. You should know the rest. I'm a professional, you understand? Not just some random UMA fanboy. That's why I was called in. If you don't want to help, I'll have to get the student union involved again. There's a unique, breathtaking sense of misery to each one. Yeah. Oh, that's right. You and them will get along, right? Isn't that reason enough? What do you want from me? Peace of mind, that's all. That way you won't be missing any limbs anytime soon, provided things go well. Zack uses his imposing body to block the glances of the other students. He presses his finger gun against Liam's back once more. For now, you just have to follow me. Ooh. Okay. Okay, I'll write up a report then. Sorry for making you come all the way out here. Don't worry, your job is much more stressful than mine. You look exhausted. Don't say that. You guys do your job so well that there's barely anything left for me to do. We're nearly finished anyway. We've been preparing this for so long that at this point it seems like the school is simply torturing us on purpose. Well, midterm exams are coming up pretty much right after, so hang in there. Please, I don't think I can handle that kind of pressure. Anyway, I'll be heading back now. Okay, good luck. Let's hope today goes by peacefully. Haha! I hate to say it, but I'm afraid the chances of that being the case are slim. Cecilia's been waiting for the perfect moment to make her entrance as dramatic and scarlet-like as possible. Well, I can't say that I had high hopes, especially with you guys around. You look exhausted. Had a long trip? It's quite a long walk across the school grounds. You take breaks along the way too, right? You came all the way out here, so I assume you want to talk to me about something? I could really use your help with something. Could you spare the time? There's no need for you to be so polite. The principal made it clear that helping you out is of the highest priority. I see. Well, we're here to catch the thief after all. I just came here to see if there was anything I could help with concerning the preparations, but of course your matters are more pressing. So what do you need me to do? You gotta go take your mom's birthday cake. Thank you for your stream. I hope everyone has a great night. Thank you for coming by. I mean, you already wished your mom a happy birthday for me yesterday, but hope the cake is nice. Bye-bye. We came across a student who may very well have some information that could help us, but he doesn't seem particularly open to sharing his thoughts. That's why we thought we should talk to someone who knows him better. Someone who knows him better? Is it someone from the student union? No, he's not one of yours. I think you mentioned his name yesterday. Wait, yesterday? Are you talking about... That's right. I'm talking about a student named Liam. That won't be easy, actually. I told you about it yesterday, didn't I? He's had some problems with the student union because... No need to elaborate. He's already told us why. Truthfully, he hasn't. Zack is probably talking to Liam like this as well right now. Relying on the information and memories from yesterday is the best way to quickly gain your trust. We need a piece for you. Nice! Quinn looks somewhat upset for a second, but she quickly regains her composure. Why come to me if you already know? We don't have any other choice. He's in a pretty bad state right now. Mentally, I mean. You two have been at each other's throats for so long that I'm sure you know each other really well. Every word we say to him could provoke a bad reaction. Strangers like us won't be able to handle it as well as you could. Quinn considers this for a moment. Due to her own experiences, the words seem to resonate with her. That sounds really serious. Is Liam in some kind of trouble? I think we pushed him too much. We thought he was simply an eyewitness, but asking him all sorts of questions made him remember something horrible. It seems likely that he saw whatever's haunting the school. Just a memory of that was enough to scare him. Liam's scared? Even he... I didn't think it was that serious. Of course, we want to find out what exactly he knows, but more importantly, we can't leave him like this. We need to find a way to make him snap out of it. You've seen the damage done to the school with your own eyes. Now imagine that same damage being done to people instead of property. So, will you help us? No, of course, lead the way. Why do I suddenly feel like something's really, really wrong? Help! Somebody help! The auditorium is on fire! Gee. I wonder. My what? How could that happen? Are you with the student union? Does anyone know how to use a fire hydrant? Has anyone called the firefighters yet? I did, but I don't think they'll make it in time. Crap, I'll go check it out. Nothing to do with me, nothing to do with me. The students are scaring each other more than anything, but Justin can't judge them for it, especially after having set the building on fire. He hasn't forgotten about Nico's very effective smoke bombs back at the Centrum building. Oh wait! Oh, okay, the fire is planned. Okay. Fortunately for him, the chemistry labs in his school are well equipped, but their doors aren't particularly secure. If it hadn't been for that, he could never have prepared things so quickly, even with Nico's intrinsic knowledge. How did she know so far in advance that we'd be needing us now? The amount of smoke is immense. These things are highly volatile and have to be handled with great care, especially since they're handmade rather than professionally assembled. Even though Nico's a genius and simply loves tinkering, it's scary that she knows how to build things like that. I wonder how she got started with all of this in the first place. Never mind, that's a topic for another day. As Justin hurries towards the school gates, there's only one thing on his mind, clearing a way out of here so everyone can get out safely. What's going on here? What's with all the police? What's going on? Why are there so many people outside of us? A society member. A member of society. Hey, you over there, get away from the door. Sorry, officer, but is there a problem? I have work to do this afternoon, so I have to go back. No, we have clear instructions. This place is sealed off. Nobody's allowed in or out. But why? This has nothing to do with me. I'm only going to repeat it one last time. Step away, or we have no other choice but to use force. Fine, fine. I'm stepping away. You can put down your hands. What the hell is going on today? Those are some very tight security measures. Jason's mind is worrying. There's no way of getting inside since the whole place has been sealed off. Even if he had wings, he would probably get shot down from the sky trying to get in. Using a taser on one or two people would have been manageable, but with the way things are now, a sneaky approach is next to impossible. Hey kid, you can't be walking around here on your own. Go back to your mom and dad. Huh? Are you just trying to catch a bad guy? Whoa, it looks so cool. This is dangerous, so please stay around adults and don't walk around on your own. I'm serious. And don't go near the history building. If an adult asks you why, tell them it's a direct order from the police. Do you understand? Oh, okay. Bye-bye. So children and adults all receive the same cold treatment. The blockade is even stricter than expected. They definitely weren't sent here because of the emergency call. The response time was way too quick, and sealing off the entrance with such measures would be unnecessary to simply put out a fire. Judging by the way they're handling this, it wouldn't come as a surprise if they wouldn't even let the real firefighters through. The auditorium is cleared out already. I don't understand what all the fuss is about. Also, they specifically mentioned that we should stay away from the history building. What's going on there that they don't want us to see? If Zach's death was the reason to provoke such a fierce reaction from the school, they would have called the police much earlier. The equipment is high-tech. The markings on their cars are different from those on regular police vehicles, and in most cases, no police officer in the city is that well armed. This doesn't have anything to do with what Zach stole. The store manager is still in the storage room. We haven't done anything This doesn't have anything to do with what Zach stole. The store manager is still in the storage room. We haven't done anything in the history building. If it wasn't any of them, then that means somebody else is carrying out their own plan at this very moment. Crap, this is bad. If you don't hurry... Never before has Justin been this angry at himself for not putting things together sooner. Oh. Put it together for me as well. What's with all the commotion outside? Loud footsteps come and go, unnerving Cecile. The room is dark since they turned all the lights off to avoid attracting attention. A faint, stale smell lingers in the air. Zack can't sit still and walks up to Cecile, scratching his head. I don't know. Sounds like it's coming from the auditorium. Should I go take a look? I don't think that's a good idea. Maybe it's Nico's doing. If that's the case, it could interfere with things if you were spotted outside. Alright, whatever you say. How much longer are these two going to dawdle? We've been holed up in here for so long, my hair is starting to fall out from the stress. But worry about that when it's not even your own body. It's a matter of pride, Cecile. One that unifies all men under one banner. I wouldn't expect you to understand. As soon as one single hair leaves the scalp, all of us share the pain. Besides, my family on my dad's side has always had a badly receding hairline and... Okay, I get it. Calm down. Stop sharing unnecessary information like that with me. Cecile pushes the hyped up Zack away, her expression a mix of annoyance and disgust. The only thing I can agree with is the part about the stress. I'm with you on that. Putting Quinn and Liam in the same room seemed like a bad idea from the very beginning. They're huddled in a corner staring at each other. Hey, mind putting some distance between us? I can't concentrate with you all up in my face. Funny, I was just thinking the same thing. What do you have to concentrate on in a place like this anyway? Just random things. What I'm not concentrating on is judging others, unlike some people. And just who are you referring to when you say some people? Take a wild guess. Hey, just for the record, I came here to help because I was told you were in a state of shock because you saw something horrible. A blatant lie, as it turns out. Whatever stories those two made up, that's none of my business, and I never asked for your help, did I? It's my obligation to help the students at the school if I hear there's something wrong. I don't need your permission to do so, do I? Oh, and suddenly you're concerned about me? Where was the concern of yours when you took the principal's side after you announced the track and field ban? There was already a compromise. What else can I do if you just stubbornly refuse to accept it? What? You called the compromise a good solution? Making us take the fault just to save face? I acted in the school's best interest. I was right all along. You've been so blinded by the feeling of authority that you can't tell right from wrong anymore. What did you say? The argument is growing more intense by the second. Cecile is just about to say something, but before she can, Zack steps in and walks up to the two students. Both of you, calm down. If I'd known you were gonna lock me up with her of all people, I would have tried to run away, even if your finger gun had been real. This is hell on earth. You just wanted information from me, didn't you? If I tell you everything right now, will you let me go? You've got quite a temper, young man, so stubborn and narrow-minded. A little more composure would do your charisma quite a favor. Huh, charisma. It's not like he had any of that to start with. What? You want to say that again? I'm sorry for having misled you. By now, both of you should have realized that we didn't bring you here just to ask you a few questions. It's truly unnerving how you can lie with such a straight face, miss. Quinn's resentful glare makes Cecile feel pretty bad about herself. It's just like the store manager once said, she's a person with an honest heart, unable to lie and deceive people. It's fine, she's not Cecile right now, she's Scarlet. Scarlet would never let something like this get to her. Cecile reminds herself of this over and over again. Let's just say I had good acting coaches. Anyway, as soon as the others get here, we're all leaving the school. I'm not going to do anything to you, but if you don't watch your backs, I can't guarantee that you make it out unharmed. Leaving the school? Like going off campus? That's right. I've told you everything you need to know. You can either cooperate or I'll have to carry you out of here over my shoulder. Your choice. Oh, and let this serve as a friendly reminder. Just because a taser is labeled non-lethal doesn't mean it won't hurt a lot. So why did you come looking for us? To be honest, that's something we have wanted an answer to for a while now too. Someone has it up for you so badly that they've sent something after you. It's our job to prevent things from coming full circle again. I don't quite understand what you mean. Liam has seen a danger with his own eyes, so he probably knows a little more than you do. The fact that the principal personally invited us here proves how serious the situation has become. Something outside the realm of common sense is happening at this school. We've been given a conclusion to it all, but no reason. Wait, so you're saying someone's targeting us, but you don't even know the reason why? Believe it or not, that's actually quite common. It doesn't... What? It doesn't if we could theoretically get into contact with the enemy. Starting a fight on school grounds is irresponsible. Wait, contact? You can talk to those flesh sludge things? Hey, that Quinn, I told you he knows things. In this case, contact means actual confirmation of the existence of certain mythical beings. As it happens, a store manager studied the tales left behind by ancient civilizations, and he assumes that you have something to do with the ritual, whether intentionally or unintentionally. You make it sound like we were wearing robes and chanting weird spells as we wave branches around. Our team members have thought of entities more horrifying than these with nothing more than pen and paper. A wall is a wall to them, it doesn't matter what you use to build it. But there's more to it than simple carving a pattern into something. These rituals are highly complicated. We refer to them as rituals for the sake of convenience. The truth is, our knowledge is so limited that we simply have to try everything and hope something works. We don't know the mechanism behind any of these rituals. Humans, and that includes us, are quite primitive in that regard. Do you understand what I'm saying? When things reach a point at which nothing makes sense anymore, the experts, meaning us, get called in to piece the puzzle together. Even we don't know whether we've pieced it together correctly until the very end, but we have to try. So as long as the store manager thinks you two need protection, we keep an eye on you. I know the whole situation seems absurd and doesn't make much sense, but that comes with the territory. It's only going to get worse from here. That's the important part. Knowing too much isn't always an advantage. That's unfair. You've barely explained anything at all. Quinn, only half of the reason for bringing you here was a lie. The other half? It's real. Very much so. I've experienced it firsthand. Okay, enough chit-chat for now. Getting us a cab out of here shouldn't be that hard. What's taking so long? I'm getting next to no signal in here. I'll go outside and call Justin. Stand by the window, keep an eye out, okay? Cecile nods and watches as Zach leaves the building. Hey, you, student union president. Hey, don't ignore me. Hey, listen, this is serious. What are you talking about? You heard everything they were saying just now, right? And I wasn't lying. About the strange shadows you saw? It is what it is, I guess. Oh, stop being so stubborn. This isn't the right time to be acting up like this. What are you getting at? This isn't just about you trying to prove how honest you are, is it? Listen, since we're the only ones who seem to be involved in this, what got me thinking, could what we're looking for have something to do with what happened when we were in junior high? What has it been, 3 years? You heard what the big guy said. Things have been happening that don't make any sense, and you've seen them with that kid. I have to admit, when you put it like that, it does make sense. Does it? Then how about cluing me in? What the? Liam's eyes go wide with fear. Realizing he's been caught red-handed, he doesn't put up any resistance. I knew it. You're hearing of something else. A few years ago, the two of us went to junior high together. And you never cared to mention that because... Come on, how am I supposed to know what you want to know? Anyway, even back then she was obnoxious as hell. That's the one reason I haven't forgotten her face. You mentioned things outside the realm of common sense happening and all that, and it only just dawned on me. Okay, then elaborate. What happened 3 years ago? A few years ago, a group of people at our school suddenly fell ill, all at the same time. Oh, so same as here. People got a fever and felt weak in their arms and legs. Some even passed out. Also, the symptoms grew increasingly worse the further they moved away from the school. A group of students had to stay at school for a little over 2 weeks. During that time, they were examined by doctors like guinea pigs. In the end, however, they couldn't find anything. No virus, no bacteria, nothing. A couple of classes were affected, but it wasn't contagious. That means a class right next door to an affected one could be in perfect health. There was no rhyme or reason to it. There was just one thing they all had in common. They had attended PE class at the same time. Did your class get sick too? I wasn't in her class, but I noticed that she was one of the students who had to stay at school overnight because of the illness. Actually, it happened to be the last night too. The last night? Yes, after that night, everyone suddenly started to get better again. What happened? That night I was so tired of being locked inside that I decided to get some fresh air. I snuck outside to the schoolyard after all the lights were off. As it turns out, she had the same idea. It was totally dark. I noticed Liam walking, or rather stumbling around. He had no idea where he was going. That buffoon ran right into me. Hey, how was I supposed to notice you when you were crouching down on the ground in the dark? It was as if you were trying to make yourself as small as possible on purpose. Anyway, that's beside the point right now. We bumped our heads against each other. Her fault, obviously. We got into an argument and started shouting at each other. A strange light suddenly emerged from the bushes next to us, probably drawn out by the sound of our voices. Your fault, obviously. Anyway, the light looked iridescent, floating in mid-air like a ball. It looked sort of like a flying Mercury, but it didn't have the metallic shine. It was glowing on its own rather than just reflecting something. The flowers and plants around it began to glow too. They even grew a little. The ball seemed wet and slippery for whatever reason. It was making strange clicking noises and started spinning around wildly. This guy here, smart as he is, decided to step in and catch it, grabbing it like a basketball. Hey, cut me some slack. I was simply trying to protect you. You should have seen yourself. Your eyes were glued to the thing as if you were under its spell. I bet all of this month's lunch money that if you saw it at the edge of a cliff right now, you wouldn't hesitate for a second and jump right at it. When he grabbed it, the ball of light immediately exploded. It was like watching fireworks go off. Everything lit up and it was painfully bright. You could feel the flash through closed eyelids. It was like staring into the sun. Liam was shaking as if he'd been electrocuted. I reached for his hand and the moment I touched it, I lost all my strength. You know that feeling of losing energy when you're donating blood? That was how I felt, but it wasn't just a little blood, more like a geyser. The light was blinding and my body gave in. I felt so weak. I had no clue what was happening. Next thing I know, the doctor wakes up Quinn and me in our hospital beds. Afterwards, I learned that was the moment when all of the students stopped showing any symptoms. And you two decided to just keep the whole experience to yourselves. There was no aftermath. Nothing ever happened again after that. It wasn't exactly fun, as you can imagine, so we've both done our best to forget about it. Also, when you mentioned that kid, were you talking about Jasmine? Jasmine? What's the connection there? Well, after the ball of light disappeared, I thought I saw the kid secretly watching from the sidelines. That was 3 years ago. Considering the kids that age grow up so fast, she should look different by now. When you picked her up, I could tell right away. It's her, no doubt about it. It's hard to explain, it's weird, but normal kids, or normal people of any age for that matter, don't have that kind of look in their eyes. So you saw her too, huh? I was so far away from her at the time, I thought I was simply seeing things. No, I'm absolutely sure. Those few seconds were enough. I'll never forget that dreadful feeling. So there you have it. 3 years ago. If you want to check the information yourself, look for the news articles related to Kaiso Middle School 3 years ago. Many experts were brought in, but ultimately they never came to a conclusion. I really wish you would have told me all of this earlier. We don't have much time. Excuse me? We've known each other for less than 2 days, okay? Does any of this sound like something you would just share with a random stranger? I'm only telling you all of this because we're stuck in here. Liam, can we be sure there were no consequences later down the road? You weren't athletic in junior high, were you? Then out of nowhere, you're jumping up and down like Spider-Man. Everyone thought that was a sudden and unexpected development. Boys grow up a little later. You should lead by example and take your biology classes a little more seriously, Miss Student Union President. It's not my job to explain the inner workings of the male body to you. Shut up. Stop picking on me at a time like this. It's not like you got a good explanation for it. Do I really need one? Who knows? Maybe I'm just naturally gifted. Okay, just give me a moment to process all of this. Cecile gets up from her chair, rubbing it forward thoughtfully. Getting so much new and important information out of the two of them was completely unexpected. Cecile needs to share this with the others as soon as possible. Zach needs to know first. Though the two students don't seem like they're planning to run away, Cecile doesn't want to take any risks. Why hasn't he come back yet? A simple phone call shouldn't take this long. From 1 second to the next, her whole body goes stiff. Are you guys finally done talking? That's not our Dan. Are you guys finally done talking? A tall figure is hovering in the shadows by the door. That definitely isn't Zach. The aura of anger and hatred surrounding this person betrays his true identity. Though the face is the same, Zach would never have such cold eyes. Oh, okay, never mind, I'm sorry. I thought it was just the same. Though the face is the same, Zach would never smile in such a cruel, sadistic way. Though the face is the same, Zach has a good heart, whereas this person is looking at them with absolute disdain and disregard, like a hunter who enjoys watching his prey suffer. Most importantly, there can't be two Zachs in this world at the same time. Run! Cecile clearly remembers what Zach told her about Dan's strength and his advantage over all of them. At least try to resist, would you? Put up a struggle. What a sorry sight. Are you really that weak? You cracked in less than 2 minutes. What a disgrace. Show some backbone, would you? Shut up. What was that? Shut up. If you want me to shut up, man up and make me. A shadow is flung towards Cecile as fast as black lighting. Only as the sound of the dull impact echoes through the room does Cecile realize that the shadow was Zach. The harsh collision nearly pushes his ribs through his lungs. Zach, are you okay? Zach! What does it look like? For a second I thought you might be someone else. You've been using your fists more than your brain all your life, but you've been getting better at using a hat of yours, haven't you? Don't act like you know me. Zach gasps for air and braces himself against the table in an effort to stand up. You're not worthy of knowing me. His chest is growing warmer. Cecile reaches out but pulls her hand back at the last second. She doesn't need to touch the red liquid dripping from Zach's chest to know what it is. Oh, that's quite some mouth you've got, boy. Come on, keep talking. That's a punctured windpipe right there, but it should be a piece of cake for me, right? Zach is looking worse by the second. Cold sweat covers his whole body, mixing with the blood from his wounds and gradually soaking his shirt. A sad and terrible realization hits Cecile at that moment. Dan already had the upper hand before the fight even began. Holy shit, what is this? Quinn's face is frozen with fear. Liam is completely taken by surprise, looking as if he unknowingly walked onto an action movie set and is now caught in the crossfire. Driven by instinct, he stands up and extends an arm to shield Quinn from the danger. Cecile can see that Quinn is hiding away in the shadows behind Liam, desperately extending an arm behind her to reach for the window. Barely 5 minutes ago, Zach made sure the whole room was sealed shut. Oh, what a courageous young man we have here. You've got guts, I respect that. But you're not blind, are you? You can see the difference in strength between us. That being said, sit down and be quiet. I'll take care of you later. Don't come any closer. Stay away, you hear me? Cecile pulls out a taser and musters up all her strength to stabilize her wrist. She points the taser straight at Dan, whose fierce laugh is growing more mocking by the second. Ah, there it is. I almost forgot you had something so fancy with you. The stone manager never quite understood how to turn the safety off and almost electrocuted himself. My, time flies by so fast. It's almost like remembering the good old days back at summer camp. When it comes to technology, it looks like you and him are on the same wavelength as far as stupidity is concerned. That switch needs to be turned up, not down, lady. Huh? Cecile's short moment of inattention gives Dan enough time to move right next to her. You fell for it. Get away from me! Cecile doesn't have time to think. Pulling her trigger is the only thing she can think of. She fires the taser pointing straight at Dan's chest. What a feeling. Oh god, he can stand that? Dan's whole body twitches as his muscles spasm uncontrollably. The nasty smell of burnt skin fills the air. The voltage was so strong that a piercing beeping sound filled Cecile's ears. But even after all of this, Dan remained standing, showing no sign of backing down whatsoever. What a sensation. He smiles as if he's never smiled before and places his hands on Cecile's head. What? Everything turns white and all of a sudden, all sound suddenly fades away. A huge electric shock rushes through Cecile's brain. She collapses on the ground, her body twitching like a million ants are crawling across her skin. How about it? Doesn't it feel great? Get the hell away from me! Stop mucking around. Liam and Zach both start rushing towards Dan, one after the other. Dan casually avoids the attacks by sidestepping them effortlessly. My young friend, only thumb thugs yell in a fight, okay? Let's at least be professional about this. Dan pounces on Liam like a wild dog and kicks him into a pile of desks. Ah yes, I forgot you two were a thing, my bad. I won't get into it any further. No need to turn this into a teenage romance drama. Just shut up already. Come on, I'm only picking up what's mine from those two lovebirds. Why is it so hard for you to stay out of this? You hear what I'm saying, right? There's no need for you to play hero. Well, do what you must. You're going to die here anyway, no matter what. Cecile watches as Dan slowly walks up to Zach, lifting his body off the ground with no effort at all. Zach punches and kicks viciously, but it's no use. They've been so wasteful with things they don't even understand. Although that thing only has a few fragments left, a complete recovery would make time travel child's play. These two unlucky souls just so happen to stumble upon it at its weakest, gulping it all down right into the stomach. All else? Who knows? In short, they were like children in a sandbox, unafraid of eating something inedible, not knowing what it would do to them in the long run. The ignorance tore apart the door, shattered it to pieces. It took 3 whole years to make it usable again. There won't be another 3 years if we fail this time. That's why I've come back here to make sure the plan comes to fruition, regardless of whether you or anyone else interferes. You understand now, don't you? I do not understand anything. What are you saying? It's the sole reason for my existence. If you tamper with it, I will come back through time and kill you. Over and over again. Accept that and stay away from me. Dan's tone is growing increasingly hateful. Even Cecile, who's still immobilized, can feel goosebumps all over her body. That's it. Our little heart-to-heart is now over. Now die. You understand that, don't you? Probably not. Zach! As she lets out a horrified scream, 2 things drop right in front of Cecile's eyes. One of them is Zach's lifeless body, battered, bloody, and broken. The other thing is a red, fleshy lung dripping with blood. Ew! This can't be happening. Cecile can't open her eyes to face reality, for reality is much too cruel. No matter how many times I do it, I still feel bad about killing myself. What a nice body. It's not something you get used to, I'm afraid. Well, that's life. Or death in this case. Numbing to himself, Dan shakes drops of blood and chunks of flesh off his arms as he makes his way towards Cecile, one menacing step after the other. The ominous sensation of a painful death creeps into Cecile's brain, freezing her in place. Hey, stay away from her or I'll shoot! Nika's voice can be heard through the door, exhausted and panting as if she'd just run a marathon. This time it isn't enough to make Cecile feel safe. So quick hands you got there. Nice shotgun. I hope you haven't forgotten that I know about everything. Do you think I don't know what kind of bullets are in them? Even with the shotgun pointed at his head, Dan keeps approaching Cecile, towering over her like a menacing shadow. He doesn't even bother to turn around. Wait a minute, what the hell is this? The sound of muscle tissue ripping closes. What? The sound of muscle tissue ripping closes in like a tidal wave, and the screams for help are soon drowned out by the torrential sounds of raining blood and tearing flesh. Just then. Oh, I see you have a friend here. No wonder you're so organized. That's cheating. Cheating is bad. He has no right to say that. Cecile's confused mind barely squeezes out her last few thoughts. Everything is pointless now. Whatever she does is no use. Dan towers over Cecile, and then as he wraps his hands around her head, he speaks to her with a mocking, bone-chilling kindness in his voice. Don't worry, girl. You're next, but it has a fucking your mistake in it. What the fuck is happening? Guess who's back? Back again. Nothing personal, kid. Teleports behind you. Oh my, mo, Slowly but surely he opens his eyes. The ceiling, it looks familiar yet completely strange at the same time. What is this place? Is this heaven? After a short moment of doubt, he realizes how stupid that question actually sounds. How silly, blah blah blah. That's the same fucking text. A large face hovers over Justin, grinning bitterly. That's Zach. It happened earlier than last time. No one got very far. So right now it's morning again. Justin tries to get up, tossing aside the blanket that covers him. This whole thing seems like some sort of zombie game, you know? Only we're playing the zombies. No matter how often we're killed, we always come back. Doesn't sound that bad, does it? You could say it's an advantage. We can try over and over again as many times as we like until we get it right. I guess. The problem is just you don't know if you can actually try over and over again, or if you're going to run out of power to try over and over again at some point. So, The thing is, are you sure we have infinite retries? Thank you. Zack speaks quietly, a pessimistic undertone in his voice. Cecile couldn't handle it anymore. It all became too much for her. Who knows which one of us is next? Wait a minute, what's that about Cecile? Justin looks around the room, only now noticing that Cecile is nowhere to be seen. Seeing my gruesome death must have gotten to her emotionally. Let's give her the time she needs and leave her alone for a while. She hasn't spoken a single word yet. I wonder if some of this was a mistake on Jasmine's part. Zack, I couldn't see it too clearly at that moment. What happened to you that affected Cecile like that? Just do me a favor, please don't make me remember it. I want to erase that from my memory. I was powerless like a coward. I was kicked around, beaten, torn up. I don't want to relive any of that ever again. I understand. It sounds like hell. Enough about that. Let's just skip that topic. So what about the parts I wasn't around to witness? What happened afterwards? After you died, those creatures came rushing through the door. They barged into the room like a shifting mass of putrid flesh. Ew. The shots bounced right off his back and he took the shotgun from me. The others didn't manage to get very far. The flashlight mass threw me onto a desk, but I saw Dan strutting out of the room out of the corner of my eye, carrying both Quinn and Liam's unconscious bodies. So you didn't manage to catch up to them? How to do that with a broken neck, buddy? My head was barely hanging on. Ew. Dan didn't bother with me at all after that. It was either his overblown confidence or maybe he just didn't want to waste his time on me. I just lay there as I lost the feeling in my limbs little by little. That's when those things came to lick up my blood. My neck was broken, but I didn't have many open wounds, so there wasn't all that much of it. So they just left you there to die? No, they crushed my body, wrapped around it, stepped on it, they squeezed out every single drop of blood inside of me. It didn't hurt really, my whole body had turned numb at that point, but I could still see everything. I watched as it towered over me, squeezing my body so hard that my intestines burst. I wish I'd passed out a lot sooner. You're right, there's a limit to how often we can endure this. I'm sorry, Justin. What a mess. Let's be real, if we keep doing things the same way, we don't stand a chance against Dan, do we? We can't take him head on, and it'll take more than a few simple tricks and traps to win this fight. Also, now we know for sure that those creatures are on his side. Yeah, one more piece of the puzzle that remains unexplained. It looks like no matter who stole the artifact, we can't get past Dan. If we don't come up with a solution, we won't even survive until the afternoon. Right, but what can we do? Everywhere we go, he shows up with those creatures in town and murders us. He's always one step ahead, ruining every plan we come up with. I never thought he'd have this kind of power. There's no way we can take him on with that little arsenal of ours. He knows everything about our equipment. Our weapons don't seem to faze him one bit. My shotgun blast right to his back should have provoked some kind of reaction at least, even if there were non-lethal rounds. Instead, he didn't even bother turning around. And all of that happened while Cecile's taser wires were still hanging off his body. Yeah, it's no use. The guy looked like he was enjoying a warm shower, not like he'd been electrocuted and shot at. I guess this is the end of the line for us. There's another way. Oh, Cecile, are you feeling better? Next time just run away. Can you do that? Nah, you mean you want me to leave you guys alone? I can't have you fending him off all by yourself. I know I'm not really matched for him, but at least I can buy you some time, you know? Also, I said, can you do that? Yeah, got it. I can do that. Good. I've never seen her look so determined. Where did the sudden fighting spirit come from? Why are you asking me? She's right there. Cecile, it sounds like you have a plan. Did you come up with something? Yes, I think there's a way to keep Dan from interfering. Really? How? By doing nothing. Look, Cecile, I'm sorry I didn't consider your feelings before I apologize, but that's not a plan. It is. I gave it a lot of thought while I was alone. After he injured Zack, Dan seemed almost ecstatic. He said something very interesting at that point. Come on, I'm only picking up what's mine from those two lovebirds. Why is it so hard for you to stay out of this? I've been so wasteful. Is there no reason for your existence? A few years ago, back when Liam and Quinn were still in junior high together, a strange illness broke out at the school. During the quarantine, both of them were exposed to a strange orb of light that drained them of their physical strength and made them collapse. An unordinary experience. You don't exactly run into strange orbs of light that drain you on a daily basis. So, judging by what Dan said, the two of them somehow absorbed a small part of this orb? Excuse me. That's right, and when we take that into consideration, then movement begins to make sense. So, according to Dan, this orb, this light, somehow enables time travel? I hate to admit it, but I can't even say I'm surprised. He always seemed to be going by a script, knowing exactly what was going to happen as he toyed with us. Time travel, huh? So he borrowed some of its abilities. And my fucking antivirus pops up in front of my game. Okay, thank you. That is exactly what I want to happen, not... Jesus Christ. So he borrowed some of his abilities, and as long as he isn't fully satisfied with the way things are, he can always come back to this point in time and confront us? Exactly. That's why it's possible for two Dans to be active here at the same time. Even though the body at this point in time has Zack's soul inside of it, the real Dan has no need to worry about that at all if the time travel method on the other side doesn't rely on the same kind of mental replacement. Which means he came back with his body. But even so, is it really okay to just kill your past self? He didn't hesitate for a second. Well, it's not a past self. Is it? Technically, there's a few... I don't even want to think about that. Something is seriously wrong with that guy's brain. I've completely lost track. So many strange things have been happening, and now there's all this talk about bending time. My thoughts are all over the place. You're right. Forget my ramblings about time travel. After all we've seen in those creatures we faced, I'm a fool for even bothering with physics and logic. Just lets out a frustrated sigh while Cecile extends her hands toward him. I agree with you, but why do you want us to do nothing? I mean, what does nothing mean? I doubt the group sleepover at home will solve the problem. Well, I came up with my own little theories. Let me explain. The ignorance tore apart the door, shattered to pieces, turning me, does it come back here to make it blah blah blah. During our last 2 attempts, we obviously caused some sort of disturbance, something that irritated him enough to come finish us off. So you're saying even if you're dying, anything is better than getting more involved in this whole mess at the school? He recognizes Zach and he remembers you. You've only known Dan for a short time. In other words, he knows we're not who we're supposed to be at this point in time. If you experience time travel yourself, it's probably not hard to understand what's going on. Even if you don't understand the principle, the fact that we travel in time is obvious. So basically, as long as he keeps encountering and attacking us, he can keep things moving in the direction he wants them to. That means the only time he isn't around is when nothing unusual is happening, meaning things are going according to his expectations. That's it. I hope we can keep up the act. Feigning normalcy is our new approach. So we're abandoning all of our previous plans? Oh, I'm starting to feel really useless all of a sudden. I think as long as we all trust our own judgment, we're doing the right thing here. But what happens after that? That's surely not the scenario that the voice took over Jasmine wanted, right? And this time, he is actually Zack already, so can we really continue to feign normalcy? Yes, I have another idea. Cecile suddenly grabs Zack's shoulder. She raises her head slightly, her eyes overflowing with determination. The look on her face may seem real, but Justin's keen eyes can tell that it's forced. Cecile is merely trying to keep up morale. However, he doesn't say anything as he doesn't want to undermine Cecile's plan. It's a big risk, but it's the only way that we'll stand a chance against Dan without having to worry about his terrible strength. This is where we'll have our big showdown with him. We'll see this match through to the end. I'm sorry, I know this may be hard on you, but please be strong. For us, none of us can do this alone. I'm asking a lot of you, Zack. Will you trust me? She's back to her old self, her hands clasped behind her back, shy and silent. Even though he can only guess what Cecile's plan is, a strange calm washes over him. Zack steps closer toward her and the 3 of them form a circle. Justin repeats Zack's words in his mind. I'm with you. I follow you until the end. He's convinced Zack will soon have to remind himself of those words. Oh boy. So what's our plan this time? It is Wednesday. Ready or not, school festival will eventually run ahead as planned. Dan has his hand on the steering wheel, as absent-minded as always. He's concentrating on his breathing, having learned long ago that once breathing is directly linked to the mind, this behavior is rubbing off on everyone else without him even realizing it. Nico looks as if she has a lot on her mind. I know separating her from Attack makes her fidgety, it's quite risky. This is the same as before. She's constantly turning left and right across the atmosphere. Who told me that? Another smoke, 2 kids in the car. This is the same as before. The other person didn't show up. Preparing a trap. It is indeed a crime. This is the same text as before, game. So we're back to the original plan? Question mark? I'm confused. Ah! This is not... Something is seriously wrong. Nico and I taking in the history building, which is brimming with people and 100 times more crowded than yesterday. Got 2 more here, go, go! What's the situation in there? Is the structure big enough? Arrange for the evacuees to get to the quarantine zone ASAP. What if you get infected ourselves? We're not even sure about the symptoms, so what's the point of worrying about it? Wait, that looks too heavy for you to lift. I'll take care of that, go. Okay, I'll leave it in your hands. What's going on here? This unexpected turn of events makes me sigh and shake my head. This looks like a movie set. What have we gotten ourselves into this time? I understand what she must be feeling. I myself have never seen such a scene in real life before. Police and doctors alike are swarming all over the place, cordoning off one area after the other. The biting smell of disinfectant wanders up my nose. A white tanker truck is parked outside a window at the far back. Someone is rolling the hose back after having just finished spraying everything with it. Many people in formal attire are bunched up together in clusters, some of them lying motionless on stretchers. Some are sitting in the shade, their faces wider than the wall behind them. These visitors came all this way just to see the exhibition. Seeing the state they're in now makes me sad. As is always the case, not everyone is understanding of the situation. From time to time, angry shouts can be heard, and people on both sides of the blockade are engaging in heated arguments with the personnel. Please, what's going to happen to us? Have the doctor said anything yet? I don't have any more information in that regard, I'm afraid. But don't worry, technology these days is so advanced, I'm sure they'll figure it out. Let go of me. You think I can tell what you're really thinking? You're lying. Please calm down, sir. It's too dangerous for you to just walk in there right now. Cut the crap and get out of my way. My wife is still in there. Hey, get back here. Stop it. We have a plane to catch tonight. It's important business. If you miss this flight, we'll lose millions. Who will be held accountable for that? Sorry, sir. I'm sure once this is over, the institutions in charge of such matters will clear things up for you. For now, please remain calm and wait outside the venue. I don't like the sound of that. Are you aware I'm worth more than this whole building? The smart businessman won't stop complaining, completely oblivious to the increasing number of people suffering all around him. Nico pokes me in the back and throws a questioning look at me. I don't want to show up too early. Having said that, it doesn't make sense to wait for something to happen. I scratch my head thinking and decide to make a move. However, someone else is quicker than me. The artifacts that are on display are centuries old and are probably worth twice as much as you. Be quiet and stop bragging. Also, if this turns out to be contagious, do you think the consequences of even one person getting out could ever be measured in money? Stop pretending that your petty problems matter right now. You would do well to listen to experts who are far more knowledgeable in this field than you will ever be. Alright, I apologize. The elf co-worker seems accustomed to situations of this magnitude, and his precise gestures and uncompromising tone exude authority. Despite handling the situation very well, the man looks incredibly tired. It's pretty hot outside, and I can't imagine what it must be like working under such stressful conditions in an outfit like this. I don't want to get on his nerves or irritate him in any way, so I straighten my shirt and leave Nico on her own for now. I make my way towards the man with a concerned look on my face. I'm sorry, I can't imagine how hard it must be having to work in this kind of weather. You always have to be ready. Those things don't operate on a fixed schedule. And you are? The principal called me. He ordered me back here, said there was a big problem. I'm sorry to bother you, but I was hoping you may know more about it. I expected some sort of robbery or other disturbance, but nothing quite like this. People shouldn't be anywhere near this building right now. Is it really that serious? Listen, if you're the person in charge of this building, I'm afraid there isn't anything more I can say. I'm sorry, this is just the reality of things at the moment. I smile somewhat bitterly and take another step towards him. Say, you really can't let me know what's going on here? I need to know, even if it gets me in trouble later. Talking to him in secret has obviously had an effect on him. He doesn't seem to care much about who I actually am and looks back at the crowd behind him while tugging at his clothes. Once this is contained, we'll send more details over to the school and wrap it, but as you can see, we have an outbreak in our hands. An outbreak? What are we talking about here? A virus? Germs? We don't know yet, and the current conditions won't allow us to do a detailed analysis on the spot. So far, the patient's symptoms have been very strange. They aren't following the characteristic pattern of a normal outbreak. In what would you say that the symptoms are strange? Just look at those people. Some of them are showing onsets of a fever, while others are suffering from a low body temperature. They're sweating profusely and their limbs are weak, as if they were extremely physically exhausted, and their bodies were shutting down to the fatigue/color. Yet there are no signs of inflammation or any serious impairment of other physiological functions. It is completely different from our body's usual response to stress factors. So it's as if they don't have an actual sickness at all? They seem to have been drained of all their energy, which is a strange thing to say for someone like me, a man of science, but all of them are showing severe signs of exhaustion. If you use the concept of Chinese medicine as a metaphor, I would describe it as their qi having been taken away. Thank you for the pattern, Hurricane. See his asses at you. Dun, 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 dun. However, so many people were infected at the same time, but the security guards who initially came into contact with them are just fine, as are the people they were in contact with before the quarantine. The symptoms are developing at a rapid pace, yet the method of transmission remains unknown. It can't be the air, or else we would have an even bigger crisis on our hands right now. It's also unlikely that it is transferred through touch. Even if that were the case, it would have never spread this fast. Collective hypnosis, maybe? No, that's too... He's lost in his own thoughts. His expression reminds me of an old teacher of mine who always started biting his nails when dates and numbers regarding ancient cultural relics didn't add up. Today's events must be enough to leave him completely puzzled, even as a seasoned professional. I can relate. I pointed at a crown on the other side of the blockade. I'm sorry, but would it be possible for me to ask him a couple of questions? Even if it's not airborne, it's too dangerous. I can't just let you walk into a quarantine area. The doctor gives me a look that tells me he's just doing his job. I pull up my phone and hand it to him. Oh, I'm fully aware of that. Please let them use his phone to talk to me. Electromagnetic waves will not spread diseases. I like your way of thinking. He raises an eyebrow, clearly relieved that I've made things easy for him. Well, looks like I can be of some help to you after all. Hey Nico, lend me your phone. Wow, what a great idea and not. Did you even think this through? You have to get it back afterwards. What if this thing is contagious? From what I've gathered, I highly doubt that that's how it spreads. We have a full-blown outbreak in our hands. Can you believe it? I pat Nico's head as she looks at me with wide eyes. The symptoms are the same as the ones Quinn mentioned yesterday. Something is going on. Way too many people are coming down with it at the same time. He said it as if things were normal at some point. They definitely never were by any standard. Well, why else would they have called us in? That's what we're here for. Don't worry, you get it back right after. I take Nico's phone and dial my own number. Hello? Are you the guy who wanted to ask us some questions? The nervous voice on the other end of the line is that of a young man. It's most likely the same young man who kept inquiring about what was going to happen to him earlier. I speak to him as calmly and politely as I can. Yes, that's me. I would have preferred to talk to you face to face, but I'm afraid the doctors can't allow that at the moment. It's fine, this is a difficult time for everyone. The doctors already have it hard enough as it is. If I can be of any help, please let me know. Thank you for being so understanding. I will try to keep it short. Time is of the essence, and the scale of this situation surpassed all of our expectations. We have to understand what's going on as soon as possible. With that in mind, what should I ask him? Absolutely fucking everything. Excuse me, but I have to ask. What exactly happened here? Was something unusual going on before people started showing symptoms? Something unusual describes it quite well, actually. There was a sudden power outage just a few moments ago. A power outage? The electricity seems to be working just fine right now. Yeah, the blackout didn't last long. We were taking a guided tour through the exhibition hall when everything turned dark all of a sudden. If I had to guess, I'd say the outage lasted around 30 to 40 seconds. How peculiar. It may sound like a small detail at first, something that could have happened at any time, but taking into account Deco's description of how the school's power network works, it seems strange that it recovered from the outage on its own. Maybe problems with the internal circuitry don't affect the external system? That would be a direct contradiction to what we discovered yesterday. It would mean the backup power supply is a lot more responsive than we originally thought. Regardless, I can confirm that another unplanned power outage took place here. I make a mental note of that and urge the young man on the phone to continue. And after the power went out, did anything strange happen then? At first, everyone was a little alarmed, but since we're all adults, nobody panicked or made a big fuss about it. Security told everyone to prepare for an orderly evacuation, so we were getting ready to walk towards the exit. But then someone, I obviously couldn't see who, shouted, "There's something in here!" They sounded extremely scared. That got everybody's attention. Did you happen to see what that something was by any chance? I can't quite describe it. It wasn't an actual thing in the physical sense, but I'll try. There was a multicolored ball of light floating above the largest display case in the center of the room. Ball might be the wrong way to describe it. It didn't have a clear fixed shape and it was constantly shifting, but it was still a three-dimensional object. It looked like one of those holograms you see in sci-fi movies all the time. Did its appearance remind you of anything? I mean, did it look like an object or an animal? No, there isn't a living thing on this earth with a shape like that. How can I put it? Its surface changed constantly, like a palette of mixed pigments with colors I've never seen before that I couldn't put a name to even if I wanted to. The colors changed at irregular intervals. The colors weren't floating around on its surface in a certain pattern. Wherever the color spread was where its shape went. It moved pretty erratically. Nobody in that hall could tell what it was. Even the security guards looked absolutely baffled. It was just floating there for a few seconds. And it didn't react to you either? No, that is until someone used a cell phone to shine a light on it. There was a burst of light that was so bright I was afraid I'd go blind. The light was so bright and hot, it felt as if the hairs on my skin were being scorched, even though I was standing a fair distance away from it. Everyone in the room was affected. When the lights came back on about 10 seconds later, people were gasping for air and many were already lying on the ground too weak to get up. So that's what happened. I'll write that down. Okay. We're gonna finish up with this dude and then I gotta stop though, sadly. The game definitely has some more in store for us. I don't know why I even expected I'd be able to get through this today. Since you've been quarantined, may I take the liberty of asking if you're also experiencing any symptoms? Yes, I am. I barely have enough energy to talk to you while I'm sitting here, and if I try to stand up, I get dizzy immediately. I already collapsed multiple times when I tried. Could you describe your symptoms in as detailed fashion as possible? Although I'm not a doctor myself, there are some experts I would like to consult. Well, I can tell you the same thing I told the doctor. It's this overwhelming feeling of exhaustion. I can't think of any other way to describe it. Imagine having to run 2 marathons in a row with someone forcing you to hold your breath. That's... wow. Well, I think that's beyond anything anyone could imagine. Tired, thirsty, dizzy, weak, that about sums it up, but others have it even worse than me. Strangely enough, the doctor said my body isn't showing any physical signs of strain or dehydration. As a matter of fact, I nearly threw up when I tried to drink the water they gave me. I couldn't swallow a single sip of it. Would you say a lot of these symptoms could simply be in your head? Your mind playing tricks on you? Some guy trips and falls over, the solution. The end. I can tell you this much, the overall fatigue is definitely real. Maybe everything else is just my body's way of reacting to it. There are indeed cases where high fevers are of mental rather than physical origin, but I'm in no position to make any type of diagnosis. It's okay, I understand. Oh, and something else struck me strange. I don't know if it's just me though. What is it? Please go ahead. My hair seems to have grown. Your hair? Yes, it seems to have grown by at least a centimeter all of a sudden. I only just recently had a cut. It isn't possible for it to have grown so much in such a short period of time. Speaking of hair, I noticed some of the women's braided hairstyles suddenly looked somewhat loose. Maybe the same thing happened to them? That's a very interesting observation. I'll keep that in mind. Okay. Bad ends can do that, then good ends should be allowed to do it as well. Honestly though, they should. It's like, you've been trying and you just stumble upon the goal suddenly. That would be funny. If I may ask, why visit a history building at this time of day? The event in the auditorium should be starting soon. Well, I will have to be blunt about this. All the singing, dancing and speeches are simply nowhere near as interesting as the collection on display at the museum. So you specialize in? Historical research, which is somewhat related to archaeology. That's why I'm interested. Looks like the museum really is of value to you then. Seeing ancient historical relics on display is a humbling experience. Though the general public may not recognize their importance, people like you and me know how much appreciation those objects deserve. A few others who came here share my fascination, but some just randomly decide to drop by. It is, after all, one of the regular stops during the school festival. I'm sorry your genuine interest and appreciation of these relics ended up in such a mess. Don't worry about it, but one more thing. The Meridian Bronze Bell and the Reed Companion were on display. Is there any particular reason for that? Huh? Well, you see, the school's power network has been acting up lately, so our storage conditions weren't up to the usual standard. Because of this unfortunate turn of events, we have temporarily arranged for a specialist to store them in a more secure location. I see. It's probably better that way, though. I have to say it makes me sad to have missed such an opportunity. Hi, Sagi. Good evening. How you doing? I'm sorry your visit turned out this way. I really am. You don't need to apologize. Wanting you to see them may even be considered selfish on my part. Displaying them like that always comes with the risk of damage, something I could never condone as a passionate practitioner in this field of work. Thank you for being so understanding. Now there's something else I would like to ask you. You're okay, that's great. I'm not so good. I'm absolutely losing my mind at how much this game has in store for me, that I'm once again not able to finish it today. I think it's gonna take us more than 30 hours. And we're at, well, according to Steam, I've already played it for, well, I played it for 24 hours when I started stream, and we've been playing for 3 hours, so we're getting close. Game has long and detailed bad ends, but short good ends. No, I mean the bad endings in this game are not that long. They're really not. Did you come here specifically for the festival? Maybe with friends? I only just got here today. I heard that some of my old classmates arrived here a couple of days earlier to help set things up. I'm ashamed to say it, but physical labor is not one of my strong suits. I prefer reading. A few students from the class came, but none of them were here with me. I didn't see any of them in the quarantine area. Maybe they're watching the ceremony over at the auditorium. How does it look on your side? Anyone you recognize? Well, I saw a few faces that I faintly recognized from classes and seminars way back, but there are people from all walks of life here, really. I have to ask, why would that be important? I just wanted to check if this could be connected to some other things that have been happening at the school lately. I'm afraid I can't be of much help in that regard. Just 2 days ago, I was still doing research in another city. I barely managed to make it here in time for the festival, so I don't really have a good overview of what's going on and who's here. That is unfortunate. That is unfortunate. I see. I could just be overthinking this. Never mind. Let's see what else there is. Nothing. That was the last question I could ask. Well, that was everything I wanted to ask. Thank you very much for your time. You've been a great help. Take care. Oh, hell. What's going on? Any luck? They have the same symptoms as the janitor Quinn told us about. At the same time the symptoms started, a strange floating glowing object was in the room. It could be the direct cause. And none of the artifacts are missing? I haven't heard anything about that yet. Since I'm pretending to be in charge, the doctor naturally wouldn't tell me. He assumes I already know about it. So... Huh? Something on your mind? No, it's nothing. There's no way we can continue as planned under these circumstances. I'll call Dan and let him know what's going on. Nico's phone suddenly starts ringing. I look down and see the call ID. It's Scarlett. I'll take that. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. She seems to suddenly remember something and looks at me nervously. Whatever it is, I already have the phone in my hand and answer the call. What's up? Justin, get over quickly. Get over here quickly. There's... Wait, store manager? Yeah, it's me. We got some problems over on our side. Don't worry, I'm with Nico. She's right next to me. What? You know what? Never mind. By the way, what's this about a Justin? I don't have time to explain this to you right now. Get to the library quickly. It's urgent. The library? Does it have something to do with Jasmine? I don't know how else to say this. Jasmine is missing. What? Oh, man! I have to stop on a fucking cliffhanger. Isn't that lovely? Isn't that lovely? No, it really isn't. I hate this. Oh, I hate this. To be fair, we always stop on cliffhangers for this game. Oh, Jasmine is missing. This is unfortunate. This is highly unfortunate. It is what it is, but it also is unfortunate. I honestly don't know how much longer we have, though. It's like, okay, so we died twice. We've run into Dan twice. We're getting more information slowly but surely. There's something big about time traveling happening, okay, but what exactly it is? No clue. There are many points to stop without being a cliffhanger, though. True. The best points were those when we managed to finish a chapter and then, you know, before we actually start up a new chapter. But since this is the finale of the game, it's just going to be a bad point to stop at all times. But this one feels especially harsh because it's like, oh damn, something is going wrong again. Jasmine is now missing and we will not be able to see where she's gone until Wednesday. Diabolical laughter. But yeah, we're going to see what's going to happen here next Wednesday. Gonna keep going Wednesday and probably also Sunday. I'm guessing it's going to be another 2 streams. We're gonna get started with Eska and Logi on Friday. Next Friday. We're gonna get started with Eska and Logi because I want to see if I can make it through another TG game this year still. I think that's manageable. And I still don't know what to do on Saturday. I still don't know what to do on Saturday. I have to think of something. But yeah, that's the plan for next week. I wish all of you guys a very, very good night. Thank you for coming in for this game. I am very much looking forward to the conclusion to all of this. I hope it's a satisfying conclusion. I really want to know what it ends with. For now, though, let me set up a raid. Thank you for the stream. No, thank you for coming. Maybe by our next stream I will have some more things I can brag about in Splatoon. Good night, Rasfal. Yeah, good night to you guys. I'll post a schedule in a bit. As soon as I can find a game I want to play on Saturday, I'll post a schedule. I'll see you all then. Have a good night. Thanks for coming. Bye.
and bye bye.